What's up, everybody, and welcome to a phenomenal episode of 3 Yards per Carry and Scouting the Fins. Joining me today is my co-host, Coach Smith. We will be live for most of the night and waiting on the Miami Dolphins number 11 pick and number 30, and we will have some special guests here later tonight. Coach, first pick of the draft, Fernando Mendoza. Second pick of the draft was David Bailey. And we were talking about it offline, and we were kind of happy they took David Bailey instead of a guy like, Arvell Reese or Ruben Bain Jr. at number 2.
Yeah, David Bailey was my third-rated edge defender. I think he has a lot of potential, but he's a little bit of a one-trick pony, almost in the same way that Chop Robinson was when he came out. And with us having left tackle solidified with Patrick Paul, having David Bailey in our division, I like our chances in that.
That's right. And then number 3, Jeremiah Love goes to the Arizona Cardinals.
Yeah, I mean, that one, I love Jeremiah Love as a player, but when you talk about the instant guaranteed money that he is getting compared to the other top running backs in the league, that one is a bit surprising and may have some ripple effects with the Achane contract as well, but very good player there.
Yeah, we talked about, in the running back podcast episode where if Jeremiah Love was taken top 5, the price of the brick for Devon Achane could go up.
Yeah, I absolutely sorry. Just trying to catch up on some news here. Got a couple of surprises coming up.
Oh, yeah, we definitely have some surprises coming in for this draft. And then number 4, Carnell Tate to the Tennessee Titans, which was a little bit unexpected at number 4.
Yeah, agree. Unexpected. Did not expect Tate to go that high. Is my number 1 receiver on my board. I recorded Focused on Fins with Anthony yesterday, and one of the topics we talked about was something that could kind of, send shockwaves across that top 10, and mine was having 2 wide receivers draft in the top 10. Having Carnell Tate at number 4 opens the door for Tyson to go in that top 10 also and push some really good players down to the Dolphins.
All right, joining us is a friend of the podcast, also part of Only Fins. He does the Q&A sessions with Alfredo Artiaga. Merrick, how we doing tonight, my man?
What's going on, gentlemen? I also do the off season with Alf, where we talk wrestling and football and whatever the hell we want to. So, yeah, but here I am with you guys, ready to talk the NFL draft, and it's been an exciting one so far, and one that's shaping up to be hopefully a pretty good night for the Miami Dolphins, at least based on what's happened so far.
Yeah, we're waiting on the New York Giants to select, but there was also a trade up where Kansas City trades up to number 6 with the Cleveland Browns, and they give up pick number 9, number 74, and 148.
Yeah, my first thought is, if the Dolphins want to move up a few slots, that shouldn't be too difficult. If the Chiefs gave up a third and a fifth to move all the way up, how many spots? They were at 9. They moved up.
They moved up 3 spots.
So 3 spots. If, let's say, Bain's there, if he makes it past this Chiefs pick, if Maui Noah's there, if Caleb Downs is there, and the Dolphins want to give up, let's say, a third-round pick to move up a spot or two, just to keep another team from jumping ahead to get those guys, I think we're in a prime position to get one of the studs in this draft, and maybe one of the players where a couple weeks ago we all thought, oh, it's a pipe dream. We hope that this player gets to Miami, but he probably won't. We'll settle for somebody. We're all kind of still, living in the Greer years, where we're battered Dolphins fans, always expecting the worst. So I don't know. It's shaping up to be a solid night for the Miami Dolphins, and I really like the way these first 5 selections have gone. And we'll see what happens with this Chiefs pick here. I'm trying to keep my eye on the TV here in the corner. But what do you guys think? Do you think it's setting up nicely for the Dolphins so far?
Yeah, I think that's a great point that you're making there with the cost that it was for the Chiefs to move up there, especially with the way that this top 5 has gone. There's some really nice players for the Dolphins moving down. And, if whoever they have number 1 on their board is still on there with that surplus of third-round picks they have, maybe it is in the cards to move up and go get that number 1 player.
All right. In this stream, we have our big boss, Ethan Skolnick of 5 Reasons Sports, also the host of 5 on the Floor, a Miami Heat podcast. This is probably the most exciting show Ethan has done this week and last week, at least.
This week and last week, like for a month. Actually.
Don't mind my son, guys. He's sneaking into the shot here. He wants to be a YouTube star.
What's up, man?
See if you get picked. Hey, guys, how are you? Appreciate it. All right, so where are we right now?
Pick number 5 was selected by the New York Giants. Pick number 6 for Kansas City is in as well. And at least the first 5 picks we've seen, it has boded well for Miami so far.
You were mentioning you thought that the Devon Achane negotiations could be affected by Love going so early. What was your thought on that?
So I think it was Nick Corte from Spotrac had posted something about the amount of guaranteed money for that number 2 pick makes Jeremiah Love, or number 3 pick, instantly makes Jeremiah Love the most guaranteed money for a running back in the NFL. He would have had to get down to like number 7 or number 8 before he would be comparable. So that, could possibly be a factor in the Achane negotiations as well. Now you have a rookie that is making more guaranteed money than any other running back in the league, right? Maybe that becomes the bar that Achane.
Isn't that kind of insane?
It is. It's almost back to the days when the quarterbacks were drafted number 1 overall and instantly were the top paid quarterbacks.
Yeah, I guess there's a larger discussion to have about Achane, right? Like, I mean, where do you think they are? I know you guys have done a lot of episodes on this, but the Malik Willis thing I think confused some folks in terms of they're like how quickly they're trying to win, right? And if you're not trying to win that quickly, does Achane have more value in a trade than he does for you right now? I mean, Hussam, how do you view that? Because I'm kind of torn on it.
It feels like more so like upside for Miami. They want to see what they have. They want to see if they don't need so much investment on the offensive side of the ball. They want to see if Malik Willis can carry this team without a bona fide superstar, at least on the wide receiver aspect of it. They want to see if he can handle the load by himself without investing too much into the offensive side this year. I do think that they're going to focus on Jeff Hafley's defense, really square out what he wants on that side of the ball and let Malik Willis play, because he's been vetted by John Eric Sullivan for at least the last 2 years, with Jeff Hafley for the last 2 years as well. I think they have a good knowledge base around him and can expect what he can actually do, maybe rat off, an extra 1 or 2 wins to make Miami a little bit competitive.
But do you want to be more competitive? I guess that's the question. I mean, this goes back to when they did the build, when Flores and they were playing Fitzpatrick, and now we look back at it and, well, if they hadn't been playing Fitzpatrick, then maybe they would have had Joe Burrow, right? I mean, that's
all right. We got Goodell at the podium right now announcing the Chiefs pick. This could be a Ruben Baines spot.
Let's hope not.
Let's see what he says.
Hey, Ruben Baines was
Mansour. The lane goes to the Chiefs.
Okay.
Wow. That is and they traded up for a cornerback. That is crazy.
They gave up a third, a fifth, and swapped first for Mansour. But this is shaping up great for the Dolphins if they're in on Bain, CeCe, or Caleb Downs. This is going well. This is going really well for us right now.
Yeah. And then Washington is next. With Dan Quinn there, you got to think who's left on the board now. You got Ruben Bain, you got Sonny Styles, you got Caleb Downs, Francis Mauigoa. Dan Quinn really likes a
Styles spot, right? There were reports of Styles dropping over the last 24 hours or so, though. So this Styles slide, it's a mini slide now, but it could gather some steam here.
Let's see who we had in our mock. Who did you guys mock here?
At number 7 for Washington?
Yeah.
I don't think we mocked. I think it was more so Alf and the 3 yards per carry. I'm going to go ahead and actually take a look and see who they mocked at number 7 for Washington. They had mocked David Bailey, actually. They had Mendoza 1, Reese at 2 to the Jets, CeCe Maui-Goa to the Cardinals, Styles to the Titans, Jeremiah Love to the Giants, Monroe Freeling at number 6 to the Browns. They had Mansour Delane going to New Orleans at number 8.
Okay.
So really, the only mock that they got right was pick number 1 with Fernando Mendoza.
I think a lot of people got that one right. So they're okay there. But they screwed that.
Saints could be a landing spot for Bain. They need an edge. They need wide receiver. Could we see another receiver go in the top 10 here? That'd be good for us.
Could you imagine if New Orleans takes Jordan Tyson to finish out that wide receiver room? Cleveland takes Francis Maui-Goa, and the Giants take another defender. To me, the Giants seem like the biggest threat to take Caleb Downs at number 10.
Yeah, agreed.
But let me ask you one more question about Willis, though, before we move on to the next pick, though. I know that they know him, right? So they have an understanding of how he operates, not just physically, but also mentally, all the rest of those things, because they've observed him for a while. If they give him no weapons other than A-Chain, if that's it, if the receiver room looks pretty much like it looks right now, can you properly evaluate him?
I think you can. With a quarterback, you want to see him be able to elevate the guys around him, right? And I think that you have to understand what's around him. So, if he does not have a top supporting cast, then you're not going to expect a top 5 quarterback out of him. But you should still be able to see him operate at a competent level and raise the level of those guys around him, right? If he has a bottom feeding type cast, and he should be able to elevate them to a mid-tier cast if he is an elite quarterback, just within reason. Like I said, you have to understand what's around him to make that evaluation. You can't give him a bottom tier skill group and expect him to be a top 5 performer, and that's your expectation with it. I think you just have to be realistic.
All right, the pick is in for Washington, guys.
And the pick
comes
for
Goodell.
The Commanders is
Goodell's coming to the podium.
You guys want me to say it?
No, we can't tip. No tipping.
Oh, we can't
it's
tip
here right now.
He hasn't announced it yet. He's walking.
Well, I'm refreshing ESPN.com as we go, so they haven't posted it yet. They haven't tipped it.
You pay attention to ESPN now, Ethan?
Well, no, just the .com, not the anywhere that I don't have to find Stephen A. Basically.
Good call. All right, here we go. Who's he got up there with him? We got Lynn Swan and Jerome Bettis announcing the Commanders pick. What are we doing? To your point, Ethan, you surround your quarterback with stud receivers. That's how you end up with a Tua Tagovailoa contract albatross hanging over your head.
Yeah.
You think somebody's better than they are. So maybe it wouldn't be a bad thing to see Willis have a season without quote unquote studs.
Yeah, that's fair. That's fair. I mean, I think, again, there's a balance here. They have to give him enough to work with, but you don't want to give him too much, and you also don't want to win too much necessarily ahead of schedule, because that's problematic too. If you start winning too much and you start dropping in terms of position that you get, that's how you get stuck in mediocrity. And we got
Sonny Styles
officially.
Sonny Styles to Washington. Dan Quinn gets his quarterback of the defense. That is Dan Quinn.
All right, that was pick 7.
That was pick 7. Yeah. Then New Orleans is
8, 9, 10. There's 3 picks ahead of the Dolphins, and Maui Noah, Ruben Bain, and Caleb Downs are still on the board. Meaning we just need one team ahead of us to go, off chalk here. Maybe take a Jermod McCoy, maybe a Mekhi Lemon, maybe a Spencer Fano, Jordan Tyson, who the Giants picking at 10 are in love with, supposedly, right? If the Giants pick If the Giants pick Tyson at 10, that leaves one of Maui Noah, Ruben Bain, or Caleb Downs for us to select at number 11, and
I'm
I
actually
will be
kind of
ecstatic.
queasy right here. I'm a bit anxious because I can see how the board may fall out after this New Orleans pick because Cleveland, they could pick up Ruben Bain to partner with Myles Garrett. The AFC North offensive lines right now are kind of weak. Baltimore lost a couple of people. Pittsburgh doesn't have Aaron Rodgers as of now. You have a couple of offensive linemen from the Steelers coming back from injury. The Bengals offensive line, as we know, is similar to the Dolphins offensive line of 2019, 2020. I think Cleveland could be a sleeper for Ruben Bain Jr. here.
Yeah, could be.
Coach, maybe they go offensive line here. They need they lost all their 5 starters.
Yeah, I'm less concerned with what direction they go, and I'm more excited about the players that are falling, right? Maui Noah, Fano, Bain, Downs. Like the Dolphins are set up to get one of these players that I really like. And this is kind of opposite, we're looking at 2 years ago when Chop Robinson was the pick, and it was like all the edges fell off the board like right before the Dolphins picked, and you were kind of left over with Chop. This year, it feels like this top 10 is going very much how you would hope to get a player that I think is going to be a really good one in this league.
Let me ask you specifically about Bain. I know you did a little stuff. You did some stuff on this. The short arms theory.
It's a thing.
Concerned about it?
It's a thing, right? But it's a thing in the sense that, if he had 33, 34-inch arms, he's a top 5 pick, maybe a number 1 or 2 pick, right? It's more, the short arms push him down that 10 to 15 range. It does show up every once in a while, but even with short arms, he's a really good player.
Now, do you think, based off of what we talked about on, our draft series, how John Eric Sullivan and his Green Bay draft philosophy, they are super solid in their traits instead of production. And with Ruben Bain, very, very productive. One trait he's lacking is that arm length. Do you think that if he's on the board and let's say another guy like Francis Mauigoa is there, Caleb Downs is there, they pass over Bain for Francis Mauigoa instead, how would you feel if that was the case?
I would understand it just because there's an unknown there, right? There hasn't been an edge with arms that short, I believe, drafted in the first round ever, right? So with this first round pick, you have to go a little bit on the safe side, in my opinion, because this is going to kind of set the tone for this franchise with John Eric Sullivan and Jeff Hafley. So I could see where they, maybe are a little wary of somebody that's outside of the prototype like Bain.
But I guess the one thing about Bain that we know, and they saw it up close here, obviously, is the motor, right? So if you're trying to set a tone for a culture that you want, it would seem like a guy like that, especially a guy who stepped up in the biggest games consistently and was the best player on the field in a lot of those games. I would think that would appeal to them. I guess that is always the question too when you're rebuilding. Do you want the safest picks for foundation, or do you want you roll the dice on the highest upside possible players moving forward as a decision that they kind of need to make also at all these spots? So,
yeah. Hey, Coach, I got a question for you. Switching to your expertise here, offensive lineman, Spencer Fano, Francis Mauigoa. If both are there at 11, who do you pick for Miami?
I go Fano. And the reason is that I think that both of them would be really good guards. But when we're talking about them as tackle prospects, I think Fano has a little higher upside as a tackle than I do Mauigoa. I think both of them can play tackle, right? But for Mauigoa, I see him more as an average tackle and above average to very good guard. I'm not drafting a average tackle with the number 11 overall pick. So that would be the differentiation for me there. I like Mauigoa as a player. I just like Fano a little more as a tackle than I do with Mauigoa.
Gotcha. Okay. That makes a lot of sense. Well, I mean, right now we're sitting here. The Saints pick is in. They're in commercial, so we're not going to get the announcement here anytime soon. But we're sitting here with 3 selections to go until Miami is on the clock. And we got 4 players that I think we'd all be pretty happy with any one of them. So, I mean, Greer's not making the pick. This is Sully's first pick. We trust John Eric Sullivan to get this right.
Until we don't. Until we don't, right.
Until he proves us. Until he proves otherwise.
We trust until we don't. Look, I guess the good thing here is that they have a chance to get someone they really like who is high on their board without having to use assets to move up and get the guy, which is always positive too. So you don't have to burn the extra assets. Do you think they're in position where if they think that they can move down 3, 4, 5 slots, would you do it, Coach, or no?
No, with the guys that are falling.
At this point,
we're talking maybe 1 or 2 guys there that I really, really like.
Yeah.
So we move down 3 spots and lose them all. I would say no to that. I would stick and pick and get one of these guys that I love that's about to be there at 11.
Yeah, I think so too. And
John Avery, Randy Moss flashbacks here. Right?
Man.
But that's all right. They got the white Randy Moss in the 3rd round that year. So that Larry Shannon.
I'd say wasn't that Shannon?
Yep.
Back to the Ruben Bain discussion. I think John Eric Sullivan and Jeff Hafley mentioned that not only is it about traits, but it's also about the film. And Ruben Bain's film has been consistently good, putting guys much bigger than him, much taller than him, who have longer arms than him. It's more so about Ruben Bain's power, and he wins with power and couples that with speed. If you win with power in the NFL, at least 45% of the time, you're beating your guy off the line within 2.5 seconds. This Dolphins defense last year gave up at least the ball. The ball was snapped at least 2.4 seconds right after the snap. And we know the Dolphins could not get pressure with 4. If Ruben Bain is there at number 11, oh boy.
Okay, here we go. Goodell to the podium with the Saints pick. Who does New Orleans select here? Pick number 8 in the draft. Things are shaping up well for the Dolphins so far. What do we got? Come on, Roger. Get to it.
Yeah. Roger doesn't move as fast as he used to.
I don't either. I
don't either.
I can tell you guys right now that the Miami Dolphins are on the clock.
Wow. Okay.
So they're on the clock already?
Jordan Tyson.
Yep.
Jordan Tyson, wide receiver to the Saints.
Wait. How are they on the clock already? So wait, was there
Cleveland has picked, and
the Giants have picked too?
The Giants have also picked as well. And
man,
I don't know if I want to tip it.
We'll just have it ready for Twitter. That's all I care about. You got it?
We'll have it ready for Twitter for the Miami Dolphins.
All right, you're ready. I'll check that out. Okay, so that's make sure you got it ready for Twitter. That was quick.
Yeah. This is setting up really, really nicely for Miami, especially after Jordan Tyson. Once the Dolphins do pick, I will drop off. And on my personal account, I'll be tweeting whoever the Miami Dolphins pick, along with the press.
look at you. Is it one of the ones you said to me earlier today?
It very well could be.
Okay, well that one will get people excited.
It's not out there yet.
It's not out there yet.
What's the policy on nudity on the YouTube? Because I did promise if we were
don't
to
do that. We'll get banned for that.
Or Maui Noah that I'd go streaking in the quad.
I can't say we would capture that on film. I think we might avoid that.
We got the pixels ready to go.
We do. This time around, unlike 2 or 6 years ago, we don't want to jinx this. We don't have T-shirts printed. I remember we sold a bunch of those. I have one. In my drawer. It's
I still wear mine.
Yeah, that was a big seller for 3 yards per carry.
That's a good one.
Oh, the what was it? The Tua Miami 20. I still have.
Yeah. I think everybody has that shirt, but unfortunately, I don't know if Tua still has that shirt. The Dolphins weren't happy about that shirt because we didn't go through the proper protocols.
Look at this guy, Jordan Tyson. He's crying as he's going up to the podium. You got to what a awesome sight to see, right? These guys they've been working for these moments.
Wait, what?
Their entire life, right? And he's walking on stage, he's crying, his dream's been realized. My kid sat on the remote, so my TV's on a different channel now.
Oh, that's great. Mine's in a room on the phone, so I'm safe.
Yeah, my youngest is already doing that.
Yeah.
But yeah, man, good for him. Good for you, Jordan Tyson. You show that emotion, man.
All right, so you got it ready, Hussam. I got the. I'm refreshing our own Twitter feed.
Yep, I'm trying to.
I don't have it just
make sure you sign your opinionated tweets on our feed, okay? Because I'm already getting people coming at me on that. I have to say no. It's Hussam. It's fine.
I got some controversial opinions. I know you did. Let's see.
All right, so we got Cleveland, then we have the Giants, and then it's the Dolphins. Ruben Bain, Francis Maui-Noah, Caleb Downs, all still on the board. The Dolphins and John Eric Sullivan, if he's the man we think he is, we're guaranteed to get one of those three. And that's something that felt like a pipe dream just 24 hours ago. Amazing. Now he's just got to do it. Now he just has to make the right pick.
just can't mess this up
with the Dolphins.
Cannot mess this up.
Make sure you get to the podium in time. Who was the team a few years ago that didn't get to the podium in time and they forgot?
The Vikings didn't a while ago.
Oh, that's right. That's a lot. That's how old I am. I remember that.
They missed two picks in a row.
Yeah, that's remarkable.
There was somebody else that did it too, wasn't it?
Yeah, I don't know how you repeat that.
A couple years later, I think somebody else did the same thing.
Was it Baltimore?
Yeah, that sounds right.
Oh, Tim Reynolds has tweeted. I don't know if you can see this.
Is that you?
No.
What did he write? What did he write down? We can't see.
It says Ruben Bain.
No matter what.
Yeah.
I'm fine with it, man. I love it.
Maybe
an underrated thing to consider with Bain, and I don't know if it's been talked about a lot, but Bain understands what it's like to play in Miami.
Yeah,
Bain knows what it's like to play in Miami. He understands the climate. He understands the distractions that go along with playing in Miami. So the Dolphins taking a player who's familiar with that environment, and he's had success playing in Miami. Excuse me.
Well, I also think the other benefit to it is it would give them a player to hang on for the fans too, which as you're building this up, if it's a guy that the fans are familiar with already, he's going to get a better chance for the fan base than it's somebody that they pick from someplace else in the country. He's a Miami guy. He'll get more. I mean, I always remember Yatil Green blowing out his knee right in front of me. We were at training camp, and that really screwed the Jimmy tenure in a lot of ways.
All right, the Browns pick is in. Let's see.
Here we go. Goodell at the podium. Who do we got?
Oh, wow. Oh, wow.
Who do we say? Oh, Spencer Fano. He's
Fano, coach. First offensive lineman off the board. Spencer Fano.
Yeah, a little surprised by that. I have Freeling as my top guy, but I can understand Fano. Had Fano as my number 2. I do think that Fano has more versatility there.
Remember, he's got that versatility. Cleveland also runs a wide zone type of scheme as well. Maybe they'll actually, I don't know, they might change up just a little bit. I just got the notification Miami's on the clock. They're picking.
Guys, what do we have to package with pick 30 to move up to 12 so we can just take a couple of these guys we want? We can get Bain and Downs.
Just get them both.
Is Eichenberg still on the roster? No.
Yeah, let's send him. He's worth something, right?
Yep. Well, this is where if you still had Jalen Waddle, you probably could have sent him, right?
Yeah, you could have.
Oh man. Okay. Well, gosh, you still have Bain, you still have Downs, you still have Maui-Noah, you still have Ioane.
This is probably like the best options for Miami right now happening. Like this is like golden for Miami. You still have your top 3 guys available. In my opinion, and on my board.
The consensus on our Twitter account is they want. Well, let's see. I'm trying to see who they're.
All right, the Giants pick is in. Goodell up to the podium.
Ooh, wow, that is fast.
So,
I'm out here pretending that this is not. All right, well, somebody from Miami went, so there you
guys,
go.
with so many players the Dolphins could be interested in on the board, do you think they could trade back a couple spots and
I
still
wouldn't
get
risk
somebody
it.
they're
I
interested
would
in?
not risk it.
And
Playing
Coach
with
keeps
fire.
shaking his head on that.
Give me Caleb Downs. Don't mess around with this.
Yes.
Yeah, me too, man.
Looks like Maui Noah to the Giants. All right, so there's one of
Oh,
our guys off the board, meaning the Dolphins are on the clock with Caleb Downs, Reuben Bain still on the board. You can't miss
Wow.
taking one of those.
Maui Noah.
Ah,
I'm
wow.
interested.
Okay. So
Wow.
What's the noise for, Hussam?
Miami has traded back.
Where'd we go?
only one pick.
Only one pick.
What'd we get? What's the compensation?
Not sure yet.
Hey,
But
when
gotta
you
love
got
it.
two players you like, Reuben Bain and Caleb Downs, and you only trade back one, you're still guaranteed to get at least one of those guys.
Well, here's the thing: if you're only trading down one pick,
What are you
it
getting?
means the Cowboys would have told them who they're picking.
Who they wanted.
So
And
they
the
would
Dolphins
know.
already know.
But it also means that another team was probably talking to Miami. That team told Dallas, "Hey, this is who these guys are after."
Right.
And Dallas said, "No, we'll do it."
So
we'll do
it's
Yeah,
Dolphins trading
I
number
think that's
11
more
Oh
like.
my
Cowboys.
God!
You
Imagine
get back
taking
12,
down-
177, and 180.
Okay,
Oh,
hold
so
on.
we get
Hold on.
16.
Let's, Sam, you want me to tweet it?
What's
What are
that,
the
two fifth-round picks?
What are the numbers on that?
12, 177, 180.
We got 2 fifth-round picks. Then is that
No, those are sixth rounders.
6th rounders? Okay.
The Dolphins trade 11 for what? Okay.
For one. Oh gosh. All right. Hey, John Eric
Oh.
Sullivan already doing good things, right?
There you go. Well, I mean, yeah, that's accumulated assets. I mean, I don't have a problem going down one spot. I think it is more likely that they knew another team was going to jump up and make a trade with the Dolphins. The Dolphins probably they probably let that information out there, is my guess, and
Wow.
forced Dallas to make the trade. Because if it was Dallas who made the trade, why would Dallas have to even give anything up?
Yeah,
for it?
yeah. There
You
was
know what I'm
obviously
saying?
somebody else involved there.
Somebody else, yeah.
Man, this is this. I haven't been this excited for a Dolphins pick when they're on the clock in I don't know how long. You know,
Oh,
obviously
those are the two fifth
Tua
round
selection
picks.
was awesome, but
Yeah,
so
those,
they are
tho-
two.
those are
fifths.
fifth.
Okay, cool. So 2 fifths, and
Yeah.
now the Dolphins have 13.
Because when you add it,
picks?
that's right. Because when you add in the compensatories, that ends up, yeah, that's right.
Okay,
So
so
it's
the
fifth.
Dolphins can't make 13 selections. I don't even think they can afford to pay 13 rookies with as little cap space as they have right now. Meaning, I could see them trading maybe even a 3rd round pick this year, and not even
For
getting
futures.
compensation this year. Yeah,
Just getting the future picks.
Get a second in 2027.
Well,
which is
that's
supposed to be
typically it,
amazing.
right? It's
But
it's
the
one
thing is,
round ahead,
it's
one
one
round
pick.
ahead the next year, basically.
It's one
So,
pick. That's the thing. It's just one pick back. So the draft compensation and the numbers of all of that, like it's
but
very-
I think what he's saying, I think what Mark is saying is that if you basically now they're in position with so many picks
There's 13
that
picks.
that
you
they
can't have 13.
they could
rookies.
trade back and accumulate some future assets. And typically the rule on that is that a year is worth a round. So if you if they can trade a couple of, like I said, trade a third, get a second for next season, that would be ideal. They just need to keep accumulating picks is what they need to keep doing. That's
I
all.
think the Cowboys pick is in. They're looking at the draft room right now.
I would hope it would be. And they had
You guys
to
see
know.
Simon crashing out right now on OnlyFans. He said, "If we got 2 5s to lose Downs, I will kill myself on Facebook Live."
I think I might just. You know what? I'm not going to say it on here.
I didn't
I'll
see
just
kill myself. I
visualize
thought
it.
about crying.
lose.
and I retweeted it.
You're
I
gonna
agree.
streak naked. Simon's gonna kill himself. Like, what is this?
This channel's getting
none
banned.
of this.
Sorry, Ethan.
None of this is covered. This is not. I don't approve
You
of
have
any of this.
insurance, right?
I don't have insurance. No, I don't. We're flying blind here. We can't even use certain music. No, so that's not going to
Feel you
happen.
there.
So yeah, Simon, I'm sure is going nuts right now.
By the way, Low Red Zone, also part of the 3 Hours Per Carry podcast, Kyle Krabs, one of the co-hosts, is actually co-hosting the Miami Dolphins draft party down in Miami with Travis Wingfield. So big shout out to Kyle Kraft right there.
Yep. All right, we got a pretty decent audience here too. Let's see how this plays out. So, the Cowboys have not officially made the pick? Is that correct?
The pick
officially.
Okay.
Pick is in. They're in commercial.
So, Coach
has to
and Merrick,
soliloquy.
the Giants basically swapped Dexter Lawrence for Francis Mauigoa. In a nutshell.
Yeah.
Yeah, I'm fine with it. You know what I mean? Like, defensive tackles outside of Aaron Donald aren't going to win you Super Bowls.
Oh, the pick was tipped for Dallas. Oh my God.
What do you mean?
It's Downs?
Who tipped it?
Yeah.
What is
Caleb
Simon
Downs
killing
goes
himself
to the Dallas
on
Cowboys.
Facebook Live? Is that how you know?
Somebody should check on him.
Is Simon drinking cyanide?
Someone needs to cheer.
Simon, are you good, brother?
Well, that means there's only one option left for Miami, right? It's got to be.
It's got to be Bain.
It's got to be Ruben Bain, right?
Yeah.
I mean, unless who
Freeling,
else is available?
Monroe Freeling.
Dylan
I don't
Thieneman?
see that left tackle.
Do they get Dylan?
Hey, look,
Thieneman?
if you traded out of 10 to get Thieneman at 11, or trade out of 11 to get Thieneman at 12, like, holy cow!
You passed on Downs for Thieneman in that scenario.
Yeah, that I'd have a really hard time with that one.
Talk about wearing out your welcome fast for Sully if that's what happens
my
here.
God.
So the
people
Dolphins
are actually
Twitter
not
is tweeting
liking
the pick is
the
in.
trade Miami just did, at least in OnlyFans. Some people are not liking the trade that John Eric Sullivan just did. But look, Miami's on the board. Okay, Caleb Downs is gone. Francis Mauigoa is gone. You got to think if they knew Dallas wanted Downs, they wanted to get picks out of it, maybe traded for futures, and they had Ruben Bain as their top guy on the board.
That's what they had.
It's
pretty clear.
That's the only
Cowboys picking
explanation that makes
Downs, they
sense.
had to have known that the Cowboys were picking Downs, and they had to have been okay with that.
Yeah,
because Bain was a Cowboys target as well in a lot of the chatter prior to the start of tonight.
I mean, it just could be a case of, like I said, one organization had one rated above the other. That's
Mm-hmm.
it. It happens a lot.
And you pick up an extra or two extra fives and still get a player in Bain. Eric. Oh no.
Oh no.
Oh no. Oh no. Oh no.
I
I don't like what you're doing there, Eric.
Oh, I don't like that. Oh, no.
It's one person that said it, but I think they've been pretty good so far.
Oh no.
I'm gonna wait to see somebody else say this.
I'm scared, Eric. You're scaring me.
Yeah,
As an offensive line guy, this scares me.
Oh boy.
I'll say that.
Oh no. Oh boy. All right. Downs is the pick to Dallas.
Mm-hmm.
So the tipper got it right. Caleb Downs. Mind you, this is the pick the Dolphins traded out of. So the Dolphins could have had Caleb Downs if they stayed right here at pick number 11. They traded out of this pick. They are now on the clock. And did Hussam
dropped off. This is not good. That's the first comment we've gotten here. Look at that. That's not good. That's not good.
Boy.
We'll play. We'll play out of that one.
It's still only one person that I've seen say this, but
all right, I'm doing my own search here right now because nothing has been tipped as of yet.
You guys are scaring me. You guys are scaring me.
There we go. Hussam is back.
Oh God, people are going nuts in OnlyFans right now.
Oh, I should ask the guys. Oh man, what is hold on, I need the OnlyFans link again. I'm afraid of.
Sam's pinballing in and out.
Oh boy. Please let it be Bain.
I've seen several people retweet the same person, but I've only seen one person say the name that I've seen.
Who is the person saying this? Are we allowed to ask that?
Yeah, so it's Yanni Kourakis.
Okay.
He's
I'm
been
not sure I
pretty
know that
good, I
person.
think. So I think there's a good chance he's right.
Oh,
but
boy.
he is the only one that I've seen, which is kind of unusual compared to what I've been seeing so far.
I'm very nervous. I mean, we're here. So unless we trade again, we are here and we're picking. And Ruben Bain is on the board. Yeah, he's got short arms. That didn't stop him from dominating college football.
I will say one thing from the person who I'm following. The
Poupart
Dolphins
is saying it now too.
Huh?
Oh,
Oh
no.
no.
Oh no.
Oh
Do you
no.
want me to say the name now that Poupart's saying it, or you still
Yeah,
want to wait?
I think Alan is a reasonable enough source to go with that. Yes.
The reported pick is Kaden Proctor out of
my
Alabama.
God.
With Ruben Bain still on the board.
Oh my God.
Is it too late to get Greer back?
Oh my God.
Oh no, don't say that. We're not there. We're not there.
Hey, but it's Proctor and 2 5th-round picks, guys. Does that make you feel any better?
Oh my God.
Well, there we talked about it.
Here it is. It's official now. There we go. I see it everywhere now.
Oh my God, they fucked it up.
They did. Yep.
So
they did.
Here's what I will say.
They did that with Brady Quinn still on the board.
Here's what I'll say on Kaden Proctor. Okay, I definitely did not have him this high, but if you are talking about somebody with a high ceiling, Kaden Proctor has as high of a ceiling as you are going to find anywhere. I think he's a very smart player. I think he's a good locker room guy. When you look at some of the different stuff that Kaden Proctor was allowed to do at Alabama in terms of being that move tight end type player, you don't do that with a knucklehead type player. But the biggest worry with Kaden Proctor is, one, I don't know if he's got the feet to play tackle, which is a long-term concern. And two, he reported at the beginning of the season at 390 pounds, and he got that weight down, right? So kudos to him for doing that. But why did he do that, right? Was it just because he knew that he was tanking his draft stock by being almost 400 pounds? Or did he realize that this is what he needs to do to be a very good player?
Goodell's at the podium announcing the Dolphins selection.
I guess if you're confident that he's going to keep that weight down, that you can kind of see the upside of it. But, man, this feels like a big risk to me.
It's official now. It's official, guys. God. Goodell just announced it. Kaden Proctor to the Dolphins, pick number 12. 6'6", 5'8" inches tall, 352 pounds at the combine. Like you mentioned, Eric, almost 400 pounds prior to that. Second team All-American last year, playing in the SEC. All right. Can he play on the right side?
Yeah, because he's going to have to, right? So that's what we're talking about.
God.
I mean, he could play on the left. If you see him as a guard, you can put him at left guard and put Jonah at right guard.
Yeah, you could.
Right, but this comes back to your point, though. Like, if he's going to be a guard for his first couple of years, and you just
why not take Vega?
There was oh my God. They had Vega. They had Bain.
Yeah.
And, oh my God.
Well,
I don't think I've ever been this high for a draft and dropped so low for it.
Yeah, the bottom fell out of this one real fast, boys.
Cow. You had Caleb Downs and Ruben Bain, and you mess it up.
Hey guys, misery loves company. So
but at least you got the AI graphic ready, though. It looks good. Congratulations to Hussab for that.
You got to think. If Maui Go was taken at number 10, they probably panicked.
That's what I was just thinking. They would have taken Maui Go, right? Appears.
Probably, yeah. Well, all right. Kaden Proctor's a Miami Dolphin, so there's nothing we could do to change it. Let's accept it. Let's hope the young man plays good football in South Florida. Let's hope that this new regime, this new coaching staff, can get the best out of him. Not the pick I think any of us would have made tonight here, but it's the pick the Dolphins made. It's the pick John Eric Sullivan made. Up until this point, I've been impressed with the job that Sully has done since joining the Dolphins front office. So, once upon a time, I loved Jonas Avainaya pick as well, and that I was wrong on that one. So hopefully, I'm wrong on the Kaden Proctor pick in the other direction.
How do you think he sells this, Coach? When he speaks, is he going to basically say, "Look, we want to build through the trenches"?
Who's going to be the general manager of the Miami Dolphins next year? How about that?
Well, I don't. You know that you get a 13-year term. You get a 13-year term here as general manager.
Baltimore Ravens. Ty Simpson goes to the Rams.
You know what's so funny? Ruben Bain is the absolute. If you look at the Ravens' history for the past 20 years, it has been about drafting high-impact defensive players from big programs that all pan out. It's always the guy that, like, I remember, didn't Terrell Suggs drop to them at one point? They've had a bunch of guys that dropped to them more spots than they should have, and they ended up becoming high-impact players. Ruben Bain is a perfect fit for the Ravens, honestly, in terms of what they've done historically.
What I don't understand with this Kaden Proctor pick, and Coach, we talked about it, he does not fit Bobby Slowick's zone scheme at all. He is not a fit with Bobby Slowick. So what the heck was John?
Can I read something from Saban, who knows him? You ready?
Yeah, I know what you're about to say.
Okay, says the issue with him is he's not a bad person. Anytime something starts with that, it's bad. I have followed this with Khalil Ware with the Heat, so this is reminiscent for me. He'll do whatever you ask him to once you get him in the building, but when he's not in the building, he might get a little overweight. He might not come in the best shape, and those are the things you have to manage with him, but I think they're manageable. He's not exactly a self-starter who will get in great shape and come to camp like you want him, but if you get him to come to camp, once you get him there, you can get him ready to go. So I don't think that's a huge negative for the guy.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
And this was coming in from this was from Saban. I'm looking at this. This is from the McAfee show. I'm gonna when Saban was here. So that's not promising, because when you have to, I don't know. Ruben Bain, you don't have to turn a key and get him to start. That's the thing.
You know what,
right?
Ethan? That quote, if I get the chance,
I'm going to post it. Yeah.
If I get a chance to speak, I'm going to ask Proctor about this quote.
Yeah.
Mm.
I mean, yeah.
All right, gentlemen, that is my time on the stream.
We appreciate you. Thank you very much. Thank you. You've officially quit John Eric Sullivan on day one.
I'm trying not to, guys. I want things to go well. I think we all do.
We all do. Happens. Trust me, we all do. We need somebody down here to win. But yes, I'm with you on it. I'm going to give
Bain at 30. Bain at 30.
No, Bain's already gone.
Oh, he's gone. Okay. Screw it.
I told you Bain is the prototypical Ravens draft pick. High impact defensive player from a big program that slips. Terrell Suggs slipped to them.
They sit there.
They do it all. They do it all the time, and the guy always ends up being what people projected him coming out of college.
Sons of bitches.
Yep.
Well, all right, guys. You have fun the rest of the night.
Appreciate you,
guys.
Thank you.
Coach, on the opposite end of the spectrum, a lot of the big four offensive line guys have absolutely fawned over Kaden Proctor as a prospect. Lance Zerline, Greg Cosell, Brandon Thor, Duke Manyweather. I mean, these are not just your run-of-the-mill guys. These are guys who know what the heck they're talking about.
Yeah, like I said, the ceiling is sky high. If you get him to put it all together, you get him motivated, then he's as talented as anybody in the class. I thought that, watching him last year, I expected him to make that jump and for him to be competing for that top offensive tackle in this class. And we just didn't see that, right? And it matches up with what Ethan was saying with Nick Saban's quote about that, right? So right now, I'm hoping that Patrick Paul has a spare bedroom in his house that he is making for Kaden Proctor so he can bring him into the facility every day. Because if you get this guy right, he's going to be really good. But like I said, it's risky. It's very risky.
Do you trust the offensive line coach and Matt Applebaum to develop Kaden
Well,
Proctor?
Matt Applebaum is the assistant
The
offensive
assistant.
line coach. Ryan Yenzer is the main offensive line coach. I
And
know that players.
you know what? Houston had two really, really big athletic tackles in Laramie Tunsil and Titus Howard with Bobby Slowick.
Yeah, I know that players have talked very highly of him, and again, the part that worries me is exactly what Ethan was saying. Right, I think that Kaden Proctor is it all makes sense. Like I said, you don't give him those extra roles at Alabama if he's not a good kid in the building. If he's not doing the work in the building, if he doesn't know his playbook, if he doesn't have high effort on the field, you don't give him that extra stuff. But there's something that's missing, right? There's some reason that he reported to the beginning of the season at almost 400 pounds. And what have we seen since then that says he's not going to do that next year, the year after, and so on? So that's apparently John Eric Solon and Jeff Halfley were confident in what they heard and why he was that heavy to start and was able to lose the weight and is going to be able to keep it off. But it does scare me. I'm trying to think of the comparison that I had seen. It was another Alabama tackle that had moved to guard a few years ago. I think he spent a little bit of time in Miami as well, but reminds you a lot of that player. I'm drawing a blank on the name. Like I said, it was an Alabama tackle, moved to guard. I think he played for the Chargers, maybe worked out here with the Dolphins as well. But reminds you of that same type of player that has the talent to play tackle, but if he balloons too much is probably a guard and could possibly eat himself out of the league. And obviously hope that's not the case, but that it's clearly a possibility.
Well, the Bane thing is going to be sitting out there too. I mean, if he becomes an elite guy, again, the Ravens have done okay with UM players in the past. A couple of them are in the Hall of Fame. So I'm sure they're delighted in Baltimore about this pick. But yeah, I mean, I think they're gonna talk, and I'm sure when Sullivan talks, he's gonna talk about the trenches. He's gonna talk about we want to build this team from from sort of the inside out. And we want to provide a bookend to Patrick Paul. But if he ends up playing guard for his first couple of seasons, I mean, we saw even with Austin Jackson, like they invested a first round, again, previous regime, they invested a first round pick in Austin Jackson and then ended up for a time moving him to guard, right? And then kind of found his footing a little bit on back at tackle. But yeah, it's frustrating in the sense that there were players that are considered to be high impact players who could be sort of franchise pillars for you right at the beginning with no questions about motor. And they traded out of a pick and allowed Dallas to get one, and then they had an opportunity to get the other and didn't go that direction. So I'll be curious to see again how they sell it or what else they do. They picked up these other two picks, but yeah, I know you're rolling your eyes at that. No, I get it. I get it. I mean, it's they're fifth rounders, right? So you're not anticipating getting an impact guy there. You're anticipating getting depth guys, basically, which is not what they need.
And I will say that like if Proctor comes in, he's motivated rookie season. I really like Jamari Sawyer as a left guard in this offense. I know his position that he hasn't played, but when I did my breakdown of his film at left tackle was significantly better than his film at right guard and right tackle. So I feel that he is a player that is better on the left. So I like Jamari Sawyer as the left guard. So if Kaden Proctor can come in and continue the upward swing that he had through this past season and plays right guard, he can be pretty good at right guard. Austin Jackson stays healthy, and you can have a really good line for 2026 with this group. And maybe that's where, kind of I don't want to say the panic set in. But when you talk about the tackles that can play guard and possibly move to tackle in the future, right? Kaden Proctor's probably the last one that was really in that group, right? Ioane's the best guard, but he's never going to be a tackle. Monroe Freeling, Blake Miller are two tackles that I have higher than Proctor, but I don't necessarily see those as guards either. So yeah, I do think it's going to be spun that Proctor's going to come in and play guard. And if Sawyer pans out at left guard, Proctor pans out at right guard, and Jackson stays healthy, you have a really good group, and you have essentially a year to figure out whether Proctor can bump out to right tackle.
Do you
when you move on from Austin Jackson.
think they move Austin Jackson to left guard and start Proctor at right tackle?
No, I think that Proctor would have to come in and absolutely blow it out of the water as a right tackle to push Austin Jackson in. I think it's more likely that Proctor gets the Laramie Tunsil treatment and plays guard in 2026 with an eye of hoping that he can play tackle
by
in
the second
2027.
Season. Yeah. Well, look, I mean,
this is a future pick.
Yeah, I was just about to say that. Like on a team that's rebuilding, this is a team where you're basically stacking. We'll see if I'm curious now that they went this direction with this pick. If they do it with the rest of the draft, is this going to be the philosophy? We're going to take high upside guys that maybe have a bit of a question, but high potential, and we're going to take these guys and sort of stack all these pieces because we're not really trying to win in the next year or two. We're trying to build a foundation for the future. I'll be curious if they go against that with any of the other picks that they take here. I don't think there's any question, for instance, that Ruben Bain is going to make more of an impact in his rookie season. Just that question. But you're basically playing the long game here, essentially.
But yeah, I think he's a very young player too.
Yeah, he's 20.
I think he's a true junior.
I think he's 20, isn't he?
Proctor, yeah, he is.
Yeah.
This is not a best player available type of thing at number 11, though, Coach.
Yeah.
No, I've already gone over two tackles that I had higher than him, and I would have drafted Ioane as a true guard higher than him. But yeah, I mean, the pick is disappointing, but there's ways that you can spin it that you can see the upside, including the youth, including the potential future at right tackle for him. There's upside to this pick, right? If he gets everything right, it's going to end up being a steal, right? I just have worries about that, and I have worries about that as the number one pick of this regime.
What does it tell you? What does it tell you though overall about what their philosophy is, or is it too soon to know? What the rest of this looks like.
I think that it leans towards that idea of the younger players. I mean, John Eric Sullivan did talk about players that, don't want to see them 29, 30 years old heading into that second contract. And that's very apparent with Kaden Proctor. I think it also goes to the at least the premium picks going to those prototype size type players, because you're not going to find a more prototype sized player as a tackle than Kaden Proctor. So I think that obviously there's more to go, and we'll see what they do later in round one. But those are the two things that stick out to me as signals with this pick, is that they are looking to go young, and they are looking for the guys that, from a measurables perspective, checks all the boxes.
Well, can I give you some of the comments under the Dolphins tweeted the pick? You ready?
That should be fun.
You ready?
Let's go.
This is NSFW. Billy Walt. Well, I don't need to read all the handles. You will forever be one of the worst franchises in the league. Hard pick. Our O-line has been awful. The trenches is the best way to build. Proctor has size that he can move. Great pick. Holy shit, you guys effing suck as drafting no matter who the GM is. F this franchise, F you. Listen, I'm not mad and honestly love this dude. Honestly, this dude may be a freaking beast. Love the size, love the emotion. Patrick, Paul, and Proctor for 10 years, please. Done. Absolutely done with this idiotic and useless franchise. Passing on Downs and Bain. I guess Greer is still in the building. If you tweeted that, Hussam, if you tweeted like Chris Greer in the building, so don't do it. Don't do it. I'm just saying. Could you imagine? That would generate the money from Elon. Yeah, if you just had him hiding under a desk somewhere, just making the picks. Okay, dude, almost 400 pounds. Dude is going to suffer in that Miami heat weather.
Yeah, that conditioning, man.
Couldn't think of a worse pick. This one, I'm good with it. We need to bully teams. Tired of the soft label. Another one, same old Dolphins. We will never change. Trade away from a generational talent for a tackle got pushed around. And then this one, to the fans, you all complain when you go O-line, and when you don't go O-line, you complain too. F the hype. He's a big-ass dude, 6'7", 352. Adding to that to the O-line is a big addition. So all over the place, but mostly negative. But we know that that's the case. They didn't draft Ted Ginn or his family this time, so at least this.
And I will tell you that one of the things that I'm looking forward to, because I will go through, and my process for these picks is going to be to watch every single one of their games from last season. So with a player like Proctor, I'm going to be really interested to see how his, technique and stuff looks from the beginning of the season when he is that 390-pound player as the season wears on, and seeing if, because the reality is that when we watch these players through the draft process, most of them at most we're watching 4 or 5 games. So you're not getting a whole season's worth, and it's going to depend on what games you're watching. So I am looking forward to, when I do my film breakdown on him, to be able to watch all of those games in order and kind of see how he progresses throughout the season, to see if he ends up as that player that the Dolphins are hoping for him to be.
Mm-hmm. All right, I'm looking at some great pick. Why y'all crying? You build winners in the trenches. So I get that premise. It's just that I also trust your judgment, Coach, on where he would have fit among the tackles. And I just always worry when you draft a guy and there is some kind of question. You drafted a guy high, and there's some kind of question about either motor or motivation.
Yep. Yes.
That typically doesn't go well unless you have a really strong foundation inside the building. Yeah, they're still establishing it. They don't have. That's one of the problems here is they don't have a lot of veteran leadership. So because they've gotten rid of a lot of those guys, right? So and they're not planning on getting much of it, right?
They don't. But two of their best leaders on the team are Aaron Brewer and Patrick Paul.
Right. So it's on the offensive line. So there'll be a little bit more. There'll be a little bit more of an example for some. So they'll probably will push that premise, I would guess.
We got a comment right here, Coach. Rookie GM panicked when Fano came off the board.
Yeah, I don't know if I agree with that. I think that if I'm thinking through this right, and that the pick of Proctor does signal that they really like that prototype size, strength, speed. Fano probably doesn't fit in there for them. We'll see if that carries on throughout. If anything, I think Maui Noah going ahead of that would have been more of the panic point, but I still don't know if that was the case. I would hope that if you have Downs sitting there ready for you to take him, that unless you were planning on Proctor the entire time, that you would have taken Downs, or else given yourself a little more time to sort stuff out. So I don't know about that one.
I'm trying to think of guys that the Dolphins have drafted, again, totally different regimes, but guys that Dolphins have drafted in previous years high that had motor questions coming in.
Deion Jordan.
Okay. Well, thanks for ruining my night.
What? I was in middle school, 7th grade when that happened. And even I knew Lane Johnson was the better pick there. And look at Lane Johnson now coaching, Ethan.
Right. Well, that's the thing. I mean, I'm trying to think. Well, you're right, Deion Jordan. I'm trying to think of others that they took in the first round that had motor questions.
They're going to be running the ball a lot, Coach. They're going to be running the ball like.
So they're gonna break a chain in the next.
That is my fear, that they're going to break the chain.
Yeah. So Eric Kumaro, this one that's going way back. That one, yeah, that was a Shula pick. That goes so far back. I'm trying to think of Jimmy's years. The guys with motors. Wow, I remember his '97 draft. JT, that was not an issue with him. Not an issue with Madison. See, I thought this regime would try to do something similar to what Jimmy did early in his tenure, and I guess that is a little bit what they did with this. Would trade down for more picks. Jimmy ended up with like 14 picks his first year. He just kept trading down, trading down, trading down. He did that the second year too. He actually traded a future first to get Surtain in the second round, or maybe it was the other way around. But then the mistake that Jimmy made was when they were trying to compete. Then he didn't trade up, and again he traded down again, and he missed out on Moss. But he drafted high motor guys typically. When the Dolphins have ever drafted guys who are not, that's problematic. This one comes up. Paddington Fano came off the board.
Wow. Ruben Bain goes to the Tampa Bay Buccaneers.
Oh, so it wasn't. So Baltimore passed.
No, Ravens went Ioane.
Okay.
Oh, that is another.
Yeah.
Wow.
Stay in Florida.
And
what do we think of Ty Simpson to the Rams, by the way? We didn't get a chance to discuss it. Just basic getting a guy ready.
Yeah, I think they're trying to get him ready to back up Matthew Stafford. I think with him and Sean McVay, he's going to learn a lot under Sean McVay. I mean, he's got the tools, he's got the traits. He doesn't have the experience just yet. And I mean, if Sean McVay could have almost pulled it off with Jared Goff, if they get Ty Simpson, another weapon, and the defense gets shored up, the Rams Seahawks battles are going to be really, really good.
I just saw this one as a reply to something that I retweeted. It said, "So much for the safe double off the wall over home runs."
Yeah. So this one comes into. I wasn't familiar with this particular story. Someone tweeted he's a major character concern. I can't speak to that, but it said he transferred to Iowa to pick up an NIL check and transferred back to Bama immediately. People forget.
Yeah, within 3 months. Within 3 months. That's another question I have for him if I get the opportunity.
Look, college sports today is a cutthroat business. If this was something that happened 4 or 5 years ago, then I'd be a little more concerned with it. But
all right, guys, I got to go.
But Saban's comments are concerning because that's a guy who knows him. Nick doesn't usually put down guys that he's been in contact with at the college level in any way. He tends to hype them up. And he also knows, although it didn't work for him, kind of what's necessary at the next level. So the fact that he is questioning it, not questioning the pick, he turned around and said he'd be a good player, but mentioning that, I just, the motor thing is what really gets me. So we got some of the comments coming in here. Some of these guys are going back and forth on this, the motor issues. I recognize some of the folks here in the chat from our Heat stuff. And this has been a constant question about Khalil Ware, so I'm familiar with these kinds of questions. I mean, the upside on some of these players can be tremendous, but yeah, if you have to kind of keep poking with a stick to get them to get guys to do the right things, any kind of player, that's problematic at times. All right, so let me ask you this: where do you think they will go with 30 now?
I really felt like with the way that Jeff Hafley talked about the safety position, that for me it felt important to come out of round one with Caleb Downs would have been my preferred pick, but when you go down the list, right, Dylan Thieneman is the clear number 2. I think there's a decent gap between him and Emmanuel McNeil Warren. I think you could kind of save this for me by maybe even trading up to get Thieneman. And still coming out with a safety that's ready to play from day one and can kind of be that guy that you build around. That would be what I hope to see, either trading up or maybe you get lucky sitting and Thieneman falls to 30.
Okay, so we'll see where this goes. This comes in from Rusty on our chat. Like I said, Dolphin fans are never happy, no matter who people took. How many times were people wrong about Dolphin picks? I'm trying to think. I mean, they were wrong about Brady Quinn, to be honest. Ted Ginn had a better NFL career than Brady Quinn did.
I mean, it's a hit or miss. I don't think that fans are any better than what the GM is for sure. I mean, there are, people are always going to celebrate the ones that they get right, and they're going to forget the ones that they got wrong as well.
Right. That's fair. I mean, again, I'm trying to give this regime. We've had so many years of Greer, and the groundhog finally saw its shadow. And so now we're at a point where it's like, I want to give this group the time to develop a core of players that they feel comfortable with going forward, while taking into account age, where they might be contractually at a certain point. Like, this is a total build from the bottom, which is what we wanted to see. I worry about bringing in a guy who's going to end up being a backup guard in his first season, and a starting guard in his second season, and then competing to play tackle in his third season, possibly, if they're lucky. Again, Patrick Paul has been a success story, and there were some questions about him when he was drafted, not by this regime. So we'll see if they can get a second one. So we'll see how that plays out.
Yeah, I completely agree. I don't know. I was more encouraged by the Patrick Paul pick as a tackle than I am with Kaden Proctor. Like Hassam was saying, we envision this Bobby Slowick system being similar to, what Mike McDaniel did with that Kyle Shanahan style outside zone scheme. And, as a guard, I like Proctor's upside. Like I said, I think that he could be a really good guard here in 2026, because he's, when he gets his hands on you, he's an absolute monster. But there's also too many times that he looks absolutely lost. I don't think that he stays as connected as I would like, especially on the move. And when you talk about tackles in an outside zone system, like, that's a very important thing. A running back can make you right, but you have to be able to stay connected, and that's not something I feel like Proctor really has as a strength.
All right, so where are we on the picks now? Bain went to Tampa. Sadiq went to the Jets, right? So that's what's locked in here. I know there's some tipping picks that's going on beyond this as Hussam disappears from us. I want to post here in the chat, or anybody, if you want to join OnlyFins, the guys are in there right now. I wonder how Simon is holding up. Have we checked in there?
I can't imagine.
Here we got this is the OnlyFins link. This is where you guys want to be right now if you want to see a grown man cry.
You asked how Simon was doing, and I have a tweet here from 23 minutes ago. In years to come, when Caleb Downs is getting fitted for his gold jacket,
oh gosh,
we'll laugh about the 2 5th-rounders we got from Dallas for passing up on the best player in the draft.
Oh man,
he's handling it well.
He's well. You have to do it in the British accent, though. That's
not in my wheelhouse.
I'm looking for it right now. Here he says he did say he picked Proctor as a wild card pick for Miami at 11. Never thought it would happen. He did have this on here. Oh, here this is this is I can't imagine a worse scenario than passing up on Caleb Downs. Did you read this one, or this was the one before? And then not taking Ruben Bain and instantly taking arguably the most boomer bust prospect in the entire draft. So
yeah, I agree with that completely.
That's there you go. You should co-sign this one.
Right.
Here we go. There you go. So we'll see. I mean, again, they want us to give them a chance. I will say they've been very un-Dolphins like in terms of the way they've handled media and all of that since they've come. They've been very open. The day that both Hafley and John Eric Sullivan were introduced, I was there. We were up in the media room. They both came up so that we could tell the difference between the two of them, because it's a little difficult at first. They spent the whole time, they came up to the media room and they spent the whole time basically telling us they were not really good friends because I guess, they didn't like the narrative that was out there that John Eric Sullivan just basically signed his buddy. But they've been out there. They've been forthright about their philosophy. I mean, I appreciate the transparency. I had a feeling that they thought they might go the other way this time because McDaniel was like that also. And you typically go the other direction. So they've been open. So I would guess they'd be very transparent about why they made this pick. They don't seem to be hiding things from anybody. Although I guess they hid that this would be the pick. I want to throw this at you. Johnny Filano says they could have kept on trading down. I mean, you don't know what you have there, but I guess they liked him that much because it feels to me like they could have gotten him 5 or 6 picks later, right?
Yeah, you would think so, but I mean, you also saw you want to go to the Ravens at 14, so maybe they thought that they would be in there. You've also got Blake Miller going to the Lions at 17, so maybe you think that could be it as well. Just looking at some of these posts that Hassan's making about what Kaden Proctor's saying. Proctor thought that he was going to go in the top 15. Mentioned he hit it off with the Dolphins during his 30 visit. Said that blocking for a guy like HN makes your job easier. And he talked about Hafley and Sully saying they laid it out for me and told me how it was. They are straight shooters, which we kind of knew about those guys. Proctor said he's ready to play fast and physical. And then I guess somebody asked him about Proctor's athleticism. And Proctor said, I feel great about zone blocking. I keep the weight in check. I can keep the weight in check under 350. I can keep the weight. I can play fast, physical, and free. So, I mean, saying the right things right now, I guess.
Yeah. Oh, that's all right. So that's good. I say is that Zoom still going on right now?
I assume so. I don't have any access to it. Just guys that are tweeting it.
Okay. No, that's fair. All right. So I'm looking at some of the other comments here. Downs is easily the best safety in the draft. Proctor's probably the 7th best offensive lineman. So
I'll say this. So I'm not going to sit here and tip picks necessarily, but the Vikings were the team that I kept seeing about being the most likely to select Thieneman, and I can tell you that we're safe in that aspect. So that still feels very much on the board. And like I said, if you could come up and get Thieneman, I would still feel pretty good about the way night one of the draft goes.
What's been your biggest surprise so far in the draft in general, other than the Dolphins pick?
You say the biggest surprise outside of the Dolphins pick?
Yeah.
I mean, the whole top 5?
Yes.
I mean, the Jets canceling a 30 visit with David Bailey and then picking him. I don't know why you would do that. The Cardinals drafting Jeremiah Love, giving him the highest guaranteed money of any running back in the league. Carnell Tate going to the Titans at number 4. Like, those are kind of all off the wall things, right? Reese going to 5 was not a surprise, but then you get Delane going to 6. Tyson going at 8. Like, that entire top 10 just felt completely drunk.
Hussam is back.
I'm back. I asked that question.
Okay.
So I asked, well, let's start off at the top of the presser. Obviously, he was very excited being in Miami. He thought he was going to be a top 15, top 20 pick initially. He said that, his ceiling was going to be number 12. And granted enough, he was picked at number 12 to Miami. He mentioned he hit it off with the Miami Dolphins in his top 30 visit with John Eric Sullivan and Jeff Hafley. He said, they laid it out for him. They told him how it was, that they want to play fast, they want to play physical, they want to play smart, they want to play bully ball. And he said that, they're both straight shooters. And I asked him, those two guys are straight shooters. Nick Saban is also a straight shooter. And I asked him, how do you respond to the quote, Saban telling you that, you weren't in shape? And I asked him, how do you respond to something like that from a coach? And he said, he was 400 pounds the off season of his freshman year. He said that, the last couple of years he's been working to keep his weight in check, practice to go out and just play for his team. I felt like that, that is a decent enough answer, but it's more so about outside the building. You're ready to play for your team in the NFL, but what is he going to be doing in the offseason? What is his training going to look like? And Coach, you mentioned it. You have 2 captains in Patrick Paul and Aaron Brewer. They're going to have to get him right. they're going to have to take that responsibility and make sure Proctor is able to work a lot in the offseason and in season.
All right, so we'll get to that. More of the comments that are coming in here. So let's get to some of the comments we've got here on the chat as I'm kind of going through Twitter. I mean, if you guys want to comment, we'll put them up here on the board. How are we feeling about this? A little bit of debate since you left, Hussam, about how Dolphin fans are always complaining that they don't take an offensive lineman. And then tonight they do take an offensive lineman and people are upset about it. I guess the issue again is who was there for them, what the other options were, and then also that this is more of a developmental prospect.
They also had Blake Miller available too. I mean, Blake Miller is a surefire right tackle that has played 4 years, played over 3,000 snaps, almost over 3,000 snaps at right tackle for Clemson. Never missed a game, is an Ironman, does not have questions about weight at all. That's a clear cut right tackle, wide zone type of player that Miami could have picked had they wanted to trade back a little bit more. And he gets picked up at number 17 by the Detroit Lions.
All right, so there we are. Lenny was putting this up. If you guys had a pick at 11 between Proctor and Ione, who would you have chosen? So
I would have chosen my own, to be honest.
Yeah, I am. Yeah. All right. Well, Hussam, I actually need to back out for a second here. I think Eric's coming back, so I'll be back in a few. And I think the 3 yards per carry team is taking this thing over as we get to 30. So make sure to promote that as well. Oh, did I add you? Hold on. What happened to Hussam? There you are,
man.
I don't know what I did. My bad.
You didn't do anything, man. Didn't do anything at all. Coach, not sure if you had heard or taking a look at the tweets that I did just back from the presser.
I did. I did see what you had tweeted about what he had said. Obviously, saying all the right things right now. Hope it pans out.
I hope it pans out as well. I don't see how he fits unless they're changing the run scheme to go power and man right here. What do you think?
I like him as a guard, right? I think that he's
6'7"
better
as a guard.
What's that?
6'7", 340 pounds as an offensive guard starting off.
I mean, I think he's got the athleticism to do it. And I was saying when you were offline there, right? One of the things that I had notated from my early season stuff, which was off of last season's film or the 2024 film, was that I didn't feel like he stayed connected as well as I would have liked for a top prospect. And I think that's really important for a tackle in this scheme. But I fully expect him to begin as a guard. And I think that he can be a good guard. But I also, if he ends up only being a guard, then I don't think you're getting good enough value. The upside here has to be that they feel like he can eventually play tackle.
Mm-hmm. Well, Blake Miller went to the Lions at number 17, right? And we talked about him being another fit as a right tackle. Never had any major injuries at Clemson. He played almost over 3,000 right tackle snaps. He fits in Bobby Slowick's wide zone run scheme as well. He's 6'5", 315 pounds, has that bone density to be strong. He also has the weight that he can put on as well, and he's a fast mover, and he can get up to the second level.
Yeah, and I like Caleb Miller. The thing that I will say there, and I'm trying to look this up before you stop talking, is that I think that Blake Miller's a little bit of an older prospect.
Yeah. Monroe Freeling goes to the Panthers.
Yep, another guy that I like a lot. I'm surprised that he fell that far. Blake Miller is 22 years old. Will turn 23 late in, I guess it'll be after next season, but he's older than Proctor, so I think that could be why they kind of stayed away from that.
The Eagles with Mekhi Lemon. Look at that. They're really gearing up for an AJ Brown trade. Yeah.
Oh, let's see what we got here. So we got Freeling is off the board. So that's all my tackles. And then you said Lemon went. Sorry, just updating my board. I think this really, seeing all of the tackles that have gone off the board, and we are at pick 21 now. I think this definitely opens the door for a Caleb Lomu in the first round to happen as well. A little surprised. I mean, Casey Concepcion is another one that I could see going here in these
100%.
next few picks, right? We haven't seen a wide receiver go since the top. Oh, no, we did just see Lemon go off the board, but you had Tate and Tyson going in the top 10 there. I mean, and this is where, this range is why I didn't necessarily want to trade down too far, because there's just not many guys left that I have a first round grade on here. So this would be where, if one of these guys that I do still have a first round grade on falls out of, out of round one, is where I can see the Dolphins trading up tomorrow into those first few picks and trying to secure one of them.
Yeah. You know, you have a guy like Denzel Boston still available on the board. Maybe they want to go with another potential edge rusher like a TJ Parker here. As well, Alf talked about it. We talked about it. Maybe Akeem Mesidor. You could go with the safety like Dylan Thieneman at number 30 as well. Maybe Halfley gets his guy at number 30. We talked about them needing a safety, a cornerback, a wide receiver, an edge rusher. Those are premium positions that they definitely could get at pick number 30.
Yeah, and I was just looking up some ages there. And I mean, Denzel Boston is 22, but Thieneman is 21. Both Parker and Thieneman are 21. So while, if the age thing is significant, that may kind of, I don't want to say scratch Boston off completely, but, when you're looking at him compared to a TJ Parker or a Dylan Thieneman, then they may opt to go with the younger player. And those would be, if we're talking about two players that I would still be pretty excited about in round one, Thieneman and Parker are probably the two that I'm really looking at here.
Who did the Steelers pick? This pick number 21 right now.
Did I see that one yet? I don't know that I've seen that one come through yet.
If we're still talking about Kaden Proctor, he had just under a 9 relative athletic score, 8.8 in terms of his relative athletic score. His speed grade was okay. His explosion grade was great. His composite size grade was also great. So again, an athletic guy.
Yeah, the athlete that he is today, if you can keep him as that athlete, that's where you're going to see that ceiling. But as we've talked about multiple times here, right, it's whether or not he can maintain that weight and that athleticism. Because if he doesn't, right, the eating himself out of the league is going to be the biggest risk with this guy, in my opinion. Because I do think that he's a very good athlete, very explosive. And can make a big difference when he's right, but when he's not, right, there's a significant difference in the player that you're getting. So I really do hope that having leaders like Patrick Paul and Aaron Brewer in that room kind of make the difference for him, can teach him how to be a pro from the beginning, and we can get a consistent weight and then develop into consistent production with him.
All All right. Who else could be out on the board? CJ Allen potentially at linebacker. Oh,
The Steelers did make their pick.
oh, they did.
Not a huge surprise on that one. I'll say that.
What was the pick?
Max Iannaccio.
Oh, wow, number 21. And I personally would have felt a little bit comfortable with Iheanacho over Proctor as well. But at pick number 30.
I don't know. I still had Proctor higher than Iheanacho on my board. I think that Proctor is more ready to play tomorrow than what Iheanacho is. But I love the ceiling on Iheanacho. I'm not trying to say anything bad about him. I just think that, there's still a bit of a leap for him from Arizona State to NFL, whereas Kaden Proctor, I think, is a little more NFL ready from day one.
All right, Chargers are on the clock. Could you imagine if Mike McDaniel gets Casey Concepcion?
That's actually a really interesting one because he would make, when you talk about the type of receivers that Mike McDaniel has pursued in the past, he fits that like a glove. So yeah, that would be a great fit for Casey Concepcion to go in there and be that separator that Mike McDaniel covets.
We have a quote, a comment actually from Daniel Meehan. If he's available at pick number 30, Keldrick Falk. I mean, that's another way to build up the trenches from inside out. I mean, that's a phenomenal run defender for sure. He can play the 3. He can play the 5. He can, in very, very rare cases, line up as the 1 tech, but I feel like a standing 1 tech would be, someone where he can really convert that power into speed and just really bull rush a center and an interior offensive lineman. That would be really cool to see.
Yeah, I mean, Keldrick Falk is kind of the bottom of a group that I see very similar. I mean, if TJ Parker was still on the board, that would be the guy that I would go with in that role. But when you talk about, if they do covet those young players that fit the physical prototypes, then Keldrick Falk would fit like a glove for that. So if they are trying to pursue those younger guys to develop them to be ready when the team is ready, then, Keldrick Falk would make a lot of sense after the Kaden Proctor pick.
You would. That's a big guy, prototypical for John Eric Sullivan for sure. Has the size, has the speed, can win with power. Ultimately, not the same as Ruben Bain, but he's your guy in that 4-3 odd front, lined up wide 9, a little bit as your 5 tech as well, either on the left side or right side, to really shore up the pass rush.
Yeah, and I mean, so we're 22, so we're 8 picks from the Dolphins drafting. I mean, there's still a lot of good names on the board, right? I do think that Concepcion makes a lot of sense for the Chargers. I haven't seen anything on that. But, you got the TJ Parkers, the Keldrick Falks, CJ Allen is in there. Dylan Thieneman, right? There's still a lot of good players on the board. I would love to say that we're narrowing in on the point when the Dolphins can't mess the pick up, but I really expected more out of 12, so I'm not going to go that far this time. I'm more intrigued than I am excited about what the Dolphins are going to do at 30.
All right. Hey, I mean, think about it. There hasn't been a run on a corner just yet, even though Mansour Delane was picked up at number 7 when they traded.
Yeah,
you still have Herman McCoy. You have Zion Young available, Akeem Mesidor. Maybe they take a defensive tackle in Christian Miller or Caden McDonald. Maybe Omar Cooper Jr. for a wide receiver, I feel like it would be a fantastic fit for Malik Willis and this offense.
Just reading through tweets. So I don't know if you remember, there was a screen pass thrown out to Kaden Proctor last year as well when they played Georgia, and Doc from OnlyFans tweeted out the video of that and said best wide receiver on the roster right now, Kaden Proctor. Little bit of humor there.
That's hilarious. All right, come on, Chargers. Let's see who you pick. And then the Cowboys traded down with the Eagles. The Eagles selected Mekhi Lemon. They got aggressive there. And
so it is not Casey Concepcion going to the Chargers.
Who is it?
It is Akeem Mesidor.
Oh, they get an edge rusher. Look at that. Interesting. I know the Dan Lebitard show is also going in on the Dolphins too. Womp womp, Miami Dolphins. The curse continues.
I mean, this is it's a bet on development, right? This is showing a lot of confidence in your coaches and your leadership to get the guy right. Again, right? I said it earlier that coming into this season, I expected him. I mean, when I'm looking at my notes from last year, still would like to see him finish a little better, but likely competing for the top offensive tackle spot. So I was expecting him to be competing for that number one spot. So, if you can find that player in there that is that top offensive tackle in the class, then it ends up being a steal. As long as you're comfortable with the explanation as to why he didn't develop into that in 2025.
Yeah, 100%. I think that's probably the reason why they put him next to Austin Jackson and Aaron Brewer on that right side of that line. You have two veterans, two, high character guys that can hold him accountable and keep him in check, especially for his weight. And then they can also teach him, because also these two guys are very athletic, can get up to the second level, can do what's needed, and can teach the right things to Kaden Proctor.
Yeah, I agree, right? Those are two of the guys that you are expecting to be leaders on the team. So, maybe that went into it as well, that you expect them to, lock him up in the off season and make him join them every time they come to the facility. If you can, we had that Saban tweet quote that we've talked about a few times, but if you can find that way to motivate him to be in the building every day, and being in the NFL is a bit different than being a college kid, right? Being a college kid, you are away a little more. When you're in the NFL, it's your job, and you are, you're in the building almost every day, and you have the opportunities to go out and spend money on those individual trainers, right? So if you want to do that, right, you have the resources to do it when you're in the NFL.
Yep, 100%. I agree. Let's see who the Cowboys select. Do they go wide receiver here? Do they go CJ Allen? Do they go another offensive tackle here as well? Who else is available? I think you have Caleb Lomo available here too. You think Caleb Lomo goes to the Cowboys?
I don't know if it's to the Cowboys, but I do think that with the way the tackles have gone off the board, I do think that Caleb Lomu is going to find a way into round one. I do think that he is a day one starter at left tackle. And when you're getting into these, most of these picks in the 20s, these are teams that are trying to fill a final type hole that gets you, over the hump. And if you look at, right, Cowboys, Browns, Bears, Bills, 49ers, Texans, Chiefs, like literally every team has offensive line listed as a need on NFL.com. And there's not, unless you end up with the Keelan Rutledge rumor of sneaking into the first round, there's
Ooh.
probably not a more day one ready player than Caleb Lomu.
I feel like the best fit for Loma would actually be San Francisco over there. They need an offensive lineman. Um, do we know who the Cowboys have picked? Because it looks like the Browns are on the clock, and they traded with. Oh yeah, because they got it from a trade with Jacksonville.
I'm not seeing anything yet.
You're not seeing anything yet. I just saw a tweet from Ghost of Adam Gase of John Eric Sullivan in a Miami Dolphins cap, symbolizing he's the Chris Greer baseball.
I'm not gonna go that low yet, right? I want to give these guys a chance, right? They are picking a guy that needs to develop, right? I thought they would go with more of a safer pick than that, but they clearly went with the young, high upside pick, and I can respect that in a sense, right? And Jeff Hafley has been very clear about wanting to develop these guys, so I can respect it. I just don't know if I can sign off on it until I see this in action.
Now the picks are coming in super, super slow. Like it was a fast hitting first. Wow, the Cowboys, Malachi Lawrence. Wow. Wow. Over Keldrick Folk. Wow. Damn.
Yeah.
There were rumors that the Cowboys really did like him. Caleb Downs, Malachi Lawrence, two guys I wanted to be Dolphins. The dream is dead.
Yeah, I mean, I liked Malachi Lawrence. I do still think this is high for him. And when I think about what is missing in the Dolphins defense right now, he's probably not quite the type of edge that I would like. Like I would still take, the TJ Parker, the Gabe Yakis, the Keldrick Falks, like those are all guys that I have ranked higher for the type of player that I think makes sense to fill out the defense. So that there has been rumors of Lawrence getting that round one buzz. So it's not a player that I'm devastated to see go off the board from a Dolphins specific perspective. And then, I mean, there's also, Zion Young is another one, but you obviously have some off-field type stuff with him is there, but he falls into that same bucket.
All right, let's see who the Browns pick. Come on. No, not in just yet. I mean, look, there were rumors of 3 to possibly 4 safeties being picked in the first round, but this edge group, this defensive line group is flying off the board. I mean, again, I can't get over that they passed on Caleb Downs like that. I know for sure Jeff Hafley could have been pounding the table for Caleb Downs. I mean, that is an easy pick, safe pick. That is a Pro Bowl type of pick. But the type of pick that John Eric Sullivan, and I'll raise you this too, Coach, and this was brought up to me by someone who knows Green Bay, that Proctor is actually outside the Packers' size threshold for the tackle position in terms of weight and even height.
Yeah, that's interesting, especially since the Packers offense under LaFleur comes from the same root as Bobby Slowick. So it is interesting. Like that would be carryover that I would expect to see. But that also kind of goes to show that we spent a lot of time talking about John Eric Sullivan and how he's going to do things the Packers way. Not that he's going completely off the reservation with it, right? But there's also going to be certain things that he's not locked into as hard, fast thresholds that the Packers may have had. He's going to develop his own type of stuff there.
Okay, the pick is in for Cleveland.
And they get a wide receiver.
Is it Concepcion or?
It is Concepcion.
Okay, that's a good fit for them. Yeah. Okay, Denzel Boston is still available. Omar Cooper Jr. is available. Cardinal Tate was the first wide receiver. Then Jordan Tyson. Then you have Makai Lemon. And now Casey Concepcion. So at number 30, if they're there, I feel like Omar Cooper Jr. would be the first wide receiver I would select, then Denzel Boston, if they do take a wide receiver there.
Yeah, I mean, as far as wide receivers, I would prefer Omar Cooper Jr. out of those two would be the one that I would prefer over Denzel Boston. I do not have quite as high of an opinion on Denzel Boston.
Wait, you said you would put Omar Cooper Jr. over Denzel Boston, right?
Yep.
Okay. I understand because of the fit in the offense. He can play all three levels. He can play in the slot. He can play outside. He has better blocking tape than Boston. Played in the playoffs, high crunch time, national championship winner as well. Those accolades alone do carry some weight for sure. But again, production, traits, and we saw it with this number 11 pick, traits over production. I think if we're leaning that way, you could make the case that Boston would be rated a little bit higher.
Just for me, like Boston was, I didn't feel like he excelled at anything.
Mm-hmm.
Like there was a lot of good stuff to his game, nothing great that would put him higher for me. The final note I have on him is that I feel like the ceiling on him is a wide receiver too that could struggle to find separation if he's asked to do more. So I don't see Denzel Boston being a number one receiver, and that's why I have a few guys higher than him on my board.
All right, Casey Concepcion to the Browns. Bears are on the clock. What do you think the Bears could go for? Because they have needs at safety. They have needs at the edge room and maybe another weapon because at wide receiver because they had traded away DJ Moore to the Buffalo Bills.
Yeah, I mean, there's a few different ways you could go. Right? You could go Thieneman. This could be a Lomu spot. We've talked about a few of those edges. Peter Woods is a possibility here.
Now that you bring up Peter Woods, he's a very versatile guy for Miami. You could potentially save some money down the line and move off of Zach Sealer if he does not fit into your 2027 and 2028 plans.
Yeah, I mean, if you are looking to move off of Zach Sealer, I would completely get going with a player like Peter Woods. I think that what he does well would complement Kenneth Grant very well. Probably not their, not probably. It's definitely not their biggest need on the roster. But if that's the top player that they had talent-wise, I could completely understand it.
I forgot to mention, Kaden Proctor said that, when he was in South Florida, he said the biggest thing for him for being in Florida is the no state taxes, for sure. And, I asked the question about his weight in the Saban, and the other question I was going to ask him was, you had left to Missouri for an NIL deal, and then 3 months later came back to Alabama. What is that kind of
Iowa?
Iowa. I'm sorry. Iowa.
Yeah, and I don't know if you were on when that came up. that does not concern me as much in today's college football landscape and the NIL world. It is cutthroat in both directions. I would say that Alabama is probably a better place for him to be than Iowa. So, if Iowa made him an offer and Alabama came out and matched it, um, I'm at the point with college football that I can't blame a guy too much for, putting himself first in that regard.
Yeah. The pick is in for the Chicago Bears. Let's see who they got.
Yeah, I'm not seeing that one yet.
All right, let's take a look at Ari Mirov. Oh, nope, nothing yet. We got 1, 2, 3 picks left to go. The Bills are still on the clock.
I mean, I like the players on the board, but there were players I liked.
Yeah, right.
A lot more at 12 too.
Yeah. Here we go. Corner at 30, number Hood.
Nope.
What's y'all's take on Xavier Harris? I think that's the defensive tackle from Ole Miss, right? If I'm not wrong.
That sounds right.
I don't
have a scouting report on him, but I do remember seeing him with some of the cut-ups that I did.
I haven't done much work on Xavier Harris, to be honest.
Yeah, I haven't done enough to have an opinion on him. So it is Thieneman going to the Bears.
Oh, yeah. They needed a safety for sure.
And that makes 30 very interesting for the Dolphins.
It does.
Because I wonder what it would have cost to move up to get him, right? Could you have traded up with the Browns and use some of that extra ammo?
Well, you also have Emmanuel McNeil-Warren that you could also pick up at number 30.
Yeah, and I like Emmanuel McNeil-Warren. I don't, and obviously we're working off of limited tape and limited information that we have access to. But I don't necessarily see him as the same type of field general to be able to run the defense the way I would have seen a Thieneman or Downs. But we've seen with, not the same player, but a Nick Emanwari.
Oh, the Texans traded up.
Defense.
Buffalo traded back 28. The Texans traded up.
Traded up 2 spots.
That's rich. I wonder what they gave up.
Yeah, I haven't seen that come across my feed yet. But makes you wonder who they were. So who they jumped to get there. So that was jumping the 49ers.
Yeah.
And according to NFL.com, they both have offensive line listed as the first need there. So could that be a Lomu spot?
Could. I think they go at. I think they go another defender here to really bolster that defense even more. I think so.
Yeah, could that be a TJ Parker? Well, no, because I guess they're pretty well stacked at the edge at the Texans.
They are. They could go linebacker CJ Allen, maybe get even younger, get even faster.
So Texans get 26 and 91.
Oh.
And the Bills get 28, 69, and 67.
Oh, they did a pick swap basically.
Yeah, kinda.
I will say, I think the Cowboys, man, the Cowboys have done a phenomenal job. I'm just gonna say it right here. So far this first round, the Cowboys have won this, even though they have 2 picks, and the Dolphins have 2 picks as well, and the Browns all have also had 2 picks. But man, talk about force players. Talk about people who can actually contribute right away.
Yeah, those are
The Cowboys
two,
are up there, man.
two nice players there. Schefter is also reporting that the 49ers are trying to trade out of 27. So whoever the Texans are trading up for, seems like that was definitely somebody the 49ers had their eye on.
You said that they're thinking about trading out.
Yeah, so the Texans and the Bills swapped 26 and 28. And now Schefter's reporting that at 27, the 49ers are looking to trade out of that spot. So whoever the Texans pick at 26, I think it's a safe assumption that the 49ers were really considering that player there.
Oh, here we go. Our other 3 yards per carry uh, podcast member, part of the Low Red Zone, and part of the podcast team. Kyle Krabs grades the selection of Kaden Proctor. He's saying that the Dolphins have sent a clear message to the rest of the NFL. This is not a wide zone system fit. This is a punch you in the mouth brawler with massive size and the ability to displace defenders against their will. He says it fits the Packers' model of drafting for youth. He's a pup, 20 years old, but one of the biggest players in this class. Miami has lived up to the promise to start building this roster inside out, and they're starting with Proctor. There were some players who I had higher grades on, absolutely, but the message behind the pick is one I fully support.
Yeah, and I agree with that, right? If you're trying to spin that as positive as possible, look at this. So the Dolphins traded up to 27.
What?
So listen, so the Texans trade to 26. They are drafting Keelan Rutledge. Then the 49ers trade out of 27. The Dolphins came up to 27. So will be very interesting to see what happens here.
The Dolphins are on the clock. The Dolphins.
So who would you be your pick here, Hassan?
Who's available now? If Keelan Rutledge is gone, you're thinking, okay, maybe wide receiver, maybe Emmanuel McNeil-Warren. You could potentially get a guy like TJ Parker.
That would be mine.
Maybe Peter Woods. Maybe really fill out the offensive line in Emmanuel Pregnon. Brandon Sissy as a cornerback. Colton Hood. Christian Miller. Maybe they really, really like Jalen Kilgore.
So it's number 30 and number 90 to San Francisco. And in exchange, the Dolphins are getting 27 and 138.
Ooh, they gave up a third rounder. They gave up one of the third rounders.
Yeah, so I mean, this obviously has to be a player they really like. But I think I kind of expected that, right? Like you stockpile those third round picks at some point, you were going to use one to move up.
Mm-hmm. Is it just me, or does it feel like we do kind of had Chris Greer back with all this moving around on the board,
I wouldn't say that. I think that it was expected, right? They stockpiled all these picks. I didn't necessarily expect them to stick and pick with all of them. They're going to come out and they're going to tell you they got the exact guys they wanted with these moves. I don't know. It's going to be interesting to see who they go with here and see what trends based, when you compare Proctor to whoever is picked here at where we at 27, is that where we traded up to?
Yeah.
Yeah, when you compare Proctor to whoever's at 27, it's going to be interesting to see the similarities, right? Are they both young players, that type of thing?
But I wonder who they wanted to trade up for.
Like I said, my pick would be TJ Parker here, but I'm not getting my hopes up too far for that.
I wonder if it's for a wide receiver. Simon Clancy is wondering if it's for. Oh, the pick is in for the Dolphins. He's wondering if it's for Omar Cooper Jr. And they traded up just ahead of the Buffalo Bills as well.
Yeah, I mean that part's key. It seems like they're, anytime that you can go ahead of the Bills for a player that you feel like they want, then gotta like that.
I'm happy for the Texans. Keelan Rutledge.
Oh,
Oh,
interesting.
who'd they get?
So the guy that broke the Proctor one early, Yanni Kourakis, is saying source at 27, the Dolphins choose Chris Johnson, cornerback, San
Oh,
Diego
San
State.
Diego State. That's a good one. That's off coverage for sure. A lot of cover 3, coach. A
So
lot of cover 3 over Jermon McCoy. Over Jermon McCoy and over Colton Hood. Take note of that.
yeah, and here's what I'll say about Chris Johnson. I like I he was ranked a little lower for me, but it was almost because he was more a man without a position. I don't necessarily like him as a pure cornerback, but I do like him as more of that hybrid corner safety role. So, when you look at, Caleb Downs, Dylan Thieneman being off the board, Chris Johnson, when I go back through the names that are left, Chris Johnson probably makes a lot of sense as somebody that I think could do a lot of the stuff that I wanted those safeties to do.
Actually, I was wrong. It's not off coverage. It's actually a lot of press. It's press and pattern match structures with Chris Johnson right here.
Okay.
I actually like this pick.
Yeah, like I said, I really wanted to not. I'm not calling Chris Johnson a safety, but I do think that he has the capability of doing some safety stuff. Right, I can see him playing in that big nickel role. He's willing to come up in that run support. I think he provides you some of the same flexibility that some of these other safeties would. My biggest concern with him as a corner was that my notes on him were all pre-combine. I had questions about his long speed. He ended up, I think, running either a 4.4 or a sub 4.4, kind of put that one to rest. But I do like the skills that he has overall. And had I gone back and reevaluated my notes post combine and seen the long speed, I'd have probably moved him up a bit. I don't know if I'd have had him hit this high, but I can see the vision with Chris Johnson.
I see it too. Press man, they're going to get really aggressive in the secondary. Let me just get this thing up on the account.
So we got 5 more picks on the night. It's going to be interesting to see who the Bills end up going with here when you had both the Texans and the Dolphins jumping ahead of them.
I think they go with an edge rusher here.
That would make sense.
Okay, so look, he allowed a 16.1 passer rating when targeted in 2025. But the question is going to be, how do you translate that into the NFL? Is production and producing in the Mountain West to face, potential guys in the AFC, like a Jalen Waddle, Keon Coleman, Garrett Wilson, those types of players, like this tells me they're going to be playing a lot of man in Jeff Hafley's scheme. And that's a little bit scary because Miami does not have the pass rush to actually get back there.
Yeah, I definitely have to take a closer look at him. I'm just kind of skimming through Simon Clancy's notes and his low red zone draft book, and the first thing that he says is that Johnson is a really nice player. He's a super physical zone corner who plays with real toughness and edge, and has a great feel for reading the eyes of the quarterback and the route concepts in zone. So I'll be real interested to go back and watch his tape a little closer and see what's there. And one thing, we talked about trying to find some similarities in terms of what they're doing. Johnson is another young player, so he is 21 years old as of April of 2026, so just turning 21 years old. And Simon also notates, where did I just see that, basically that very didn't miss many games at all. No. And he had that note in there. I don't even missing just one. All right. He's played 4 seasons of football at SDSU, missing just one game in all of that time. So, young, doesn't miss games. Those seem to be 2 trends that we're finding with these first 2 picks of the John Eric Sullivan era with the Dolphins.
Okay. So they're not going after safeties. Jeff Hafley is focusing on corners instead of safeties first. So they want to go to safeties. They want someone that can pattern match, that can press, that can jam people off the line and play physical. So again, really going off that physicality and athleticism.
Yeah, and again, just kind of reading through Simon's notes here, right? Great feel for reading the eyes of the quarterback and the route concepts. Said that he's aggressive at the catch point, and so often he seems to be running the route for the receiver. I love the football brain he has, showing a real understanding of routes and route depths, of narrowing throwing windows on the outside, and how best to manage space. When playing in zone, he shows that intelligence to know when to peel off and find the ball. Right? He's a beautifully fluid mover, is what Simon says. And he also says that he's one of the best run defenders in the class. So like that all kind of goes back to what I was saying, that like I don't view Chris Johnson as just being a pure cornerback. I think he is that player that can play cornerback but can also flex and do some of that safety stuff and provide you some of that fluidity on defense of being able to change between a big nickel, a regular defense, all of that type of stuff.
All right, we are going to get Alfredo Arteaga in a little bit shortly. No TJ Parker, no Colton Hood, no Jermod McCoy. And he's the second cornerback taken off. So not a big run on corners here, Coach. And we thought there would be 4 to 5 guys.
Yeah, I never really saw 4 to 5 guys. I thought maybe 3, but that was also before the report that McCoy is either likely or is going to need a second surgery on that knee.
Yep.
With the uncertainty there, I'm not surprised that he's tumbling. Delane going as high as he did felt like it opened the door for, maybe one or two of these other corners to get into the first round. But I do think that tomorrow, probably pretty early tomorrow, that we're going to see quite the run on cornerbacks.
Mm-hmm. And I think they're just getting ahead of the pack right here.
But yeah, I love when that happens. I always prefer to be at the front of a run than getting what's left over at the end.
I do think, though, like I will say, they could have waited for him at pick number 30, in my opinion.
we play this game all the time, right? Especially depending on what role you see him in, right? If you see him as a pure corner, then sure, you could have waited that long and gotten somebody similar if he gets drafted before then. But if you do see him not as a safety, right? Not Downs, not Thieneman, but as that player that can do a lot of the same stuff as him, I think that he can do more in that role than most of these other guys on the list.
I think, let's take a little bit of look at Johnson. 9.67 relative athletic score. I will say one thing that is a concern on RPO glance route, where the timing windows are narrow, he can arrive a little bit late. His read to drive transition is slow, which is why he likes to get a little bit handsy and press up on people. Todd McShay actually had a comp for him, which is Noel Williams out of California, I think last year. And Noel Williams is now with the Kansas City Chiefs. He's a disciplined, instinctive, zone versatile corner who makes his money on technique and football IQ rather than pure athleticism, but Johnson has much better athleticism.
Yeah, I don't know a lot about Noel Williams, but the description that you just gave there makes a lot of sense.
Yeah. Waiting once again on Alfredo Arteaga, and let's see who the Bills actually select, because this is going to be interesting right here. Maybe they go a cornerback right here. They do need another defensive back to pair up with Maxwell Hairston. This is going to be interesting, or maybe another wide receiver for Josh Allen. I feel like Omar Cooper Jr. would be a nice fit for Buffalo.
So they have, let me just double check here. They have traded out of that pick.
Wow.
The Bills have traded number 28 to the Patriots for number 31 and number 125. So
this is a
Buffalo GM Brandon Beane has traded down twice.
Huh. Interesting.
I'm going to give you a minute here. I'll be right back, Assam.
Yeah, I'm waiting on Alpha as well. Just really quick, putting out this tweet for Chris Johnson. All right, as we wait for the Buffalo, since the Buffalo Bills have traded out, we're waiting on pick number 28 for the New England Patriots to see who they could potentially select. Once again, the Miami Dolphins have drafted offensive tackle Kaden Proctor and cornerback Chris Johnson out of San Diego State University. Very physical, very fast, athletic, young cornerback. He's much better on off coverage rather than press, according to Ryan Smith out of PFF. He has very, very good anticipation and ball skills, 91.9 zone coverage grade in 2025, less than 42% completion percentage allowed, 16.1 passer rating against, and less than 200 yards allowed. Obviously, a little bit of swings in terms of the analysis of Chris Johnson. Simon Clancy saying he's, suited for zone and can play press as well. PFF's Ryan Smith saying he's better in zone rather than press. So again, everyone has different evaluations on this, and we don't know.
I am back. I missed whatever you were just saying.
I was just talking about the evaluation of Chris Johnson.
Yeah, I think they're probably going to be all over the board because I don't think that he's just a singular type player in terms of what you can ask him to do. So I think that based on what you're looking at him doing and what your expectation is, then I could see where.
The Jets traded up to San Francisco at number 30.
Yes. So I don't know if you mentioned it, but
The Patriots select Caleb Lomu.
Which is really interesting, right? Because he's a left tackle, and they've said that Will Campbell is a left tackle, right? But is this where you then bump him inside and have a pretty good left side of the line there for the Patriots?
I feel like Jeff Hafley and John Eric Sullivan didn't really take a look at value of where Kaden, Proctor, and Chris Johnson are being picked at. This to me feels a little bit underwhelming.
You're saying that Lomu does?
No, for the Dolphins, for where Chris Johnson was picked up, because I've been doing a lot of mock drafts, and he's available at 30. He's also available at pick number 43 as well. And I don't think there was going to be a big run on corners in the early part of the second round.
I'm not going to move off of what I said before in the sense that, Chris Johnson offers you some different options than those other corners. And, when I think they may have been hoping that Dylan Thieneman fell to them. And when he didn't, then maybe they decided that Chris Johnson offers some of the same stuff. And that's when they decided to go up and get him. I will always be more of a fan of going up and getting the guy that you want versus sitting back and seeing that guy fall off the board.
Yeah. All right. Give me 1 second. Let me see if I can get into the presser.
There goes one of your guys, the Jets, Omar Cooper Jr., going to the Jets.
Another weapon.
That's what they got. So the Jets got David Bailey, they got Kenyon Sadiq, and they got Omar Cooper Jr. David Bailey doesn't scare me too much for the in the division, but when you add Kenyon Sadiq and Omar Cooper Jr., I think if you get a quarterback that has good accuracy, and maybe that is a Geno Smith for now, I think that those are two good pieces for the Jets.
Yep. All right. Again, that Lomo pick for the Patriots is very interesting. The offensive tackles are flying off the board here now, Coach.
Yeah, like I said, it does not surprise me that Lomu made it into the first round, and he makes a lot of sense for the Patriots.
Well, Peter Woods.
Yep.
Peter Woods to the Chiefs.
Yep, and that's another good one, a good place for him to be as well.
Yeah. All right, Alfredo Arteaga is here in the room now. Alfredo. Kaden Proctor and Chris Johnson.
Tonight has been a disaster. It's just there's no other way to like what's the spin? The spin is, well, you got yourself your right tackle for 2027.
The Bills traded out at number 31, guys.
Again, so that's 3 times the Bills have traded out.
We're giving it to the Titans.
Well, hopefully they don't get. That means that they don't get T.J. Parker. But yeah, this was a joke tonight. It was just, and I'll give it to you. I'll give it to you every which way. Okay. They had Downs, who was my.
Oh, what happened? Where'd he go? There he is. He's back.
All right. They had Downs and they had Ruben Bain Jr. on the board. They had Caleb Downs, who was my number 2 player on the board. They had Ruben Bain Jr., who was my number 1 edge on the board. Both positions of need, both positions that you can begin a build on defense. By the way, the first round is over, and they still haven't begun their build on defense because they took a boundary corner with zero versatility. They passed on Colton Hood. If you like Chris Johnson that much, what are you doing trading up from 30 to 27? Just stay at 30.
We talked about the positional value on that, and Coach and I disagree.
If they would have just stayed at 30, they could have taken Chris Johnson at 30. He wasn't going to go before then. I'm looking at the same board that they're looking at.
Like, unless the Bills wanted him.
The Bills just spent a first-round pick on a corner last year. They're going to spend another one this year?
Yeah, they could.
I don't know. I just don't. I don't get it. The Kaden Proctor draft, taking Kaden Proctor is just completely dumb. And then Kaden Proctor gets into his post-draft availability and makes a clown of himself, talking about no state income tax. Like, really, that's what we're doing? How about talking about how you were a disgusting fat body at Alabama and you couldn't get into your kick slide because you were too heavy for most of the season?
I asked that question, and he kind of went a little bit around it, to be honest.
Look, it's 98 degrees in the shade here in training camp, okay? He has the look like, look, is he going to really care? Is he going to be like Patrick Paul and care about working on his body, getting lean, to be able to work through training camp here and be able to play in this weather? We shall see. But all the evidence is that the answer is no. And Nick Saban all but eviscerated him in the pre.
Keldrick Falk goes to the Tennessee Titans at number 31.
Okay. Yeah. But I don't understand passing on Caleb Downs or Ruben Bain Jr. It's just like, it makes zero sense to me. You're doing that thing again where you're taking a mulligan on 2026. Every season in the NFL matters. Okay? Every single season in the NFL matters. You don't punt on seasons because you could use a season as development, to develop a player. You use it as a developmental season. And they're completely punting on 2026 because Austin Jackson is still there making $13 million a year.
But could they see 2026 as a development season for Kaden Proctor? Get him in the lineup as a guard. And
he can't play guard. He's too tall. All his tape suggests that he has way too high of a lean coming out of his stance to play guard. He would be a bad guard in the NFL, and you would probably delay his development. He's a tackle. Like, if you play him at guard, let's say you play him at guard and he manages to make it through the season, all those snaps are going to be wasted because he's never going to play guard again.
Would you say that Laramie Tunsil's snaps at guard were wasted before he moved to tackle?
Laramie Tunsil we're like arguing apples and bowling balls here. Laramie Tunsil was a supreme athlete compared to what Kaden Proctor is. Laramie Tunsil, I saw him at his first training camp, and I walked past him, and I forgot to look at the number, and I thought that Jawan James was standing next to a tight end. Laramie Tunsil had a 38-inch waist. Kaden Proctor he's not that. He is not Laramie Tunsil.
So let me ask you this. Because because initial reaction, we both were like, what the f. But when you have four really really good offensive line evaluators, backing up a guy like Kaden Proctor, okay, the weight concerns are there. Then we talked about, okay, he'll be next to Aaron Brewer and Austin Jackson, high character guys, veterans, can hold Caden Proctor accountable as well. You also have Patrick Paul, who actually cares. He's a big guy, is athletic, has weight on him, but can move. If those three guys can help and coach and mentor Caden Proctor along with coaching throughout the offseason, maybe it could be worth it.
Wow. Jadarian Price going number 32 to the Seahawks.
Wow.
Nailed it. I nailed it. Nailed it.
All right. Well, that is the first round of the 2026 NFL Draft. Coach and Alf, I'll let you guys take it away.
Yeah, both of these are upside picks. Caden Proctor is not what I would have done. I'm completely on board that I would have gone Caleb Downs there. Caden Proctor wasn't even the highest lineman that I had on there, but I do kind of see the upside. There is a lot of risk involved there, but if you get the best version of Caden Proctor, then I think that you're getting a very good player for the pick. Just have some questions there. Chris Johnson, talked about him on here already. I'm okay with the trade up for him because I think that he does some different stuff than the other cornerbacks that are in that range. I think that he can be more than just a cornerback playing a bit of a hybrid role. I like his run defense. I like his ability to play in zone. So I think he can do some of that safety or big nickel type stuff as well. So, those are the kind of things that make me okay with the Chris Johnson pick, especially after Thieneman went off the board after two picks ahead of that. Any thoughts you want to add to it, Alf, before we close it out tonight?
Yeah, I think it was tonight was all bad process. It's not about the players; it's all about the process, and it's not about my evaluation of Chris Johnson, who I really liked, who I mocked a ton at 30. I like Colton Hood better, but that doesn't matter. But you traded up, and you traded a third-round pick to move up 3 spots to take Chris Johnson. That is terrible process for a team that needs absolutely everything. And you pass on Caleb Downs and Ruben Bain Jr. At some point, all of this is still about watching college football, right? Like, we still watch these guys play college football, and we evaluate them off of what they did in college football. And if you watched college football the last 3 years, really, you passed on the guy who set the all-time record for pressures on the edge in Ruben Bain with 83 last year. You passed on a guy who on Caleb Downs, who every coach who talks about him, and you don't have to hear about the coaches that talk about him and absolutely love him. It's just the tape. Like, if you watch the tape on Caleb Downs, he's a special player. And on the low end, he's a Minkah Fitzpatrick type. That's the low end for somebody like Caleb Downs. And you get to take that at 11. Yeah, that's a gift. By the way, you took Minkah Fitzpatrick at 11. And that was a good draft pick, by the way. That was not a bad draft pick. You take Caden Proctor, who is essentially a mulligan. In my opinion, that's a pick for 2027. He's the starting right tackle at 2027, in 2027. So you take a mulligan, you gain 2 fifth-round picks, which is fine. And I don't mind the what you got for moving down 1 spot. And I understand some people were talking about the Cowboys got more from the Eagles. Well, yeah, that matters because the Cowboys got more from the Eagles because they're in division rivals, and you're going to hold them up for a little bit more, right? So I don't think that's a fair comparison. So I think that the trade was fine. But then passing on Ruben Bain at a position of need, for a guy who's essentially a developmental guy, we're doing this again. We've done this before with high picks, and it's never really worked out. So they took the right tackle for 2027. Like, this is not a guy who's going to contribute in 2026 unless Austin Jackson gets injured. And if he gets injured, then Kaden Proctor is going to be thrown into the fire really, really early on. As far as Chris Johnson, I love the player. I just don't like the process. I don't like moving up for him in that case. I just don't.
Let me ask you this, Alf. Do you think Chris Johnson can play some of those safety roles, or do you see him strictly as a corner, right? Can you see him playing that big nickel that can roll back and play a deep half, deep third? Or is he for you strictly a cornerback?
He's strictly a cornerback for me, and he's a absolutely perfect fit for this scheme. Like, the player is a perfect fit. I just hate trading a third round pick to move up 3 spots for him when I'm pretty certain I'm looking at the same board that they're looking at. Like, are they really that nervous? Some are saying that Buffalo was going to take him. Really? Are we certain? Okay, fine. Buffalo takes him. I'll take Colton Hood. Did we lose a lot? I guess what? I get to keep my third round pick, and I'll take Colton Hood. So I just hated the pro. I hate the pick at 11. I mean, I hate the pick at 12. Love the trade at 11 because you set yourself up to take, the best of both, best of either world. Like, you really couldn't lose, and then you managed to snatch defeat out of the jaws of victory. And the Chris Johnson pick, he's a good player. He's a very good player. I just don't like the process. Tossing away a third round pick to move up 3 spots is just dumb. That's just dumb for a team that needs everything. Underwhelming first round. Let's just say that now they got less picks because they threw away a third round pick. So now they got, what do they got? They got 4 picks now on day 2.
Yeah, I'd have to revisit and see what they had after the 2 trades they did. But I get what you're saying.
What was the trade actually for Chris Johnson? What was that trade?
I don't remember. I had said it, but I forget what it was.
I guess we could go out on that. Let's talk about what the trade was. What number did we trade?
It was 90 that we traded, I'm pretty sure.
Wow. So we couldn't even get away with trading 94?
Like I said, I think it was 90. I don't want to. I'm not going to. Yeah, so it was. The Dolphins received 27 and 138, and the 49ers get 30 and 90. So they swapped 27 and 30, and then they swapped 90 and 138.
It's awful. It's just awful. That's bad process. That's bad process. And what can you say? I like the player. It's just a shame that the player has to be attached to that trade. That's bad process for a team that needs those picks. You traded a top 100 pick to move up 3 spots. That's just, well, maybe we'll be here again in 3 years, but so far this has been very underwhelming and a terrible first day to this draft. That should have been, should have given Dolphin fans a lot of hope, and instead it's giving them a lot more questions.
Yeah, I agree. There was definitely an avenue that you could have come out a lot more excited about what they did tonight. If we're trying to put a positive spin on it, I would think that it would be that, you get a couple of guys that are young, have higher upside, and you hope develop into key pieces of this team. But I definitely understand the skepticism. I have some of it myself as well. But Alf, want to thank you for coming on to finish this up. Want to thank everybody that's been hanging out with us through the live, going on 2.5 hours. Not exactly sure what we're going to do tomorrow night for the rest of the draft, but between the 5 Reasons Sports, between Scouting the Fence, 3 Yards Per Carry, we're definitely going to have more draft coverage. So I encourage you guys to stick around, keep your eyes out, and let's see what else John Eric Sullivan can cook up for this draft.
All right.
We'll talk to you guys later.